my God. Look who's back. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Got a little pep in our step this morning. That's because pitchers and catchers report to spring training. Baseball is back.
Let's go, Padres.
Yeah, I haven't heard
Let's
that.
show them how it's done.
The extended version.
Let's go, Padres. Let's have some baseball fun. Time to turn up the heat. Time to take the field. Something like that. Line drives and stolen bases. Diving catches. We're going places. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go, Padres.
Unbelievable. All that waiting, all that depression, all that lamenting. And it's finally here again. And I feel so good. I'm so glad that baseball is back, and that's what we're going to be talking about. The majority of, the rest of our lives, hopefully here as a show. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Ben and Woods. And, man, so excited to get another season going. Covering another season with you guys. I'm just elated. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's the executive producer of the program. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I am good.
Good. Had a little hoops game last night.
A lot of basketball last night.
I want to talk about that in a moment. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. You did not have a lot of basketball. You were, let's be honest, you were out greasing the wheels and shaking hands, kissing babies, doing the San Diego sports politician bit. What are you launching, a new website or something you want people to get behind, invest in?
Yeah,
what?
no, I did have an out and about evening in between my TV shows. I went to the San Diego Legion, the kickoff party for their new season, which starts this Sunday. So when said hi to some of the members of the rugby community of San Diego last night.
When you got in this morning, you told us, he said, yeah, and then I went to the Legion, and I was like, the American Legion, like the Kiwanis Club or whatever it's called?
Elks Club, Lodge, went to the Lodge, yeah.
I thought maybe they asked you to come do a speech or something, and be like, well, I'm Ben Higgins. I do Channel 10. I'm also on Ben and Woods, and I love the Padres. I used to really like the Chargers. I love the Aztecs. And, I thought when you said to the Legion, I thought you meant the American Legion. And I was like, why are you going to the Legion?
Kiwanis, Rotary Club.
Yeah, the Rotary Club. Why do they have so many different clubs?
Veterans of Foreign Wars. I mean, there are a lot of clubs out there.
There's a lot. And so that's where I thought you went. And then you said, no.
San Diego
Legion
rugby team.
And there was a good party?
Yeah, I had a real nice event with players and coaches and their staff and some of the media at a restaurant in Fort Oak in Mission Hills. Really good restaurant. So.
Fort Oak?
Yeah.
What kind of food?
They had a buffet out. There was some swordfish. I had some swordfish.
Oh.
Yeah, and some carrots.
It's an elite dinner.
Yeah, it was very tasty. Yeah, very tasty. It's good. It's a good spot.
At the menu right now. Yeah, a lot of seafood.
It's upscale.
What?
Fort Oak.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up in Mission Hills, just up Washington Street from the 5 freeway, kind of above the airport there.
If it was bad, and it's not, but you could say Fort Oak, more like Fart Oak.
No,
it was really, delicious.
Really good, yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you. It's nice to go out and make the scene every now and then. Keep up the good graces. We don't talk enough rugby on this program.
I get the sense that, rugby is still a niche sport.
Yeah.
It's a very well-run, funded team, and they're very serious about their rugby.
It reminds me of the SEALs. They're very well-funded, and it's a well-run organization.
Lacrosse may not be at the top of everybody's mind, but these guys know what they're doing. They're moving back to Torero Stadium this year, and the first game is this weekend. I saw a Legion tryout one time. I was going to practice with my baseball team. This is last year, and there's one thing San Diego's lacking tremendously is field space. I mean, I had this conversation last night with a coach, and for as much baseball, soccer, as much outdoor activities here, we are severely lacking fields. So, I coach in Encinitas Little League. We have our meetings tonight. We had our first practice last night. Now, I'm lucky enough to know someone that coaches at a high school. That being said, got in trouble first night. We had our first practice last night, and the AD came down and said, you can't practice here. There's insurance and this and that. And so we're going to try to find ways around it. But you got to understand, Encinitas Little League, they've got 60-some-odd teams, right? They have 3 fields you can practice on. And you got to remember who I'm up against. I'm up against every hard-o dad on the planet
that goes in the dead of night and reserves 6 fields a week just so they can have them. So it's a thing. It's like a real thing. I'm going to be better suited practicing in Vaughn's parking lot with my team than trying to get a field for the rookies. They don't really care about the rookies. They care about the T-ball.
You know, it's funny you bring that up because one of the movers and shakers I was talking to last night, and I won't give away too much, but they're literally working on a project to try to create more fields and field space in San Diego.
So I saw them. You know the fields off of Birmingham, right off the 5?
Yeah.
I saw the Legion doing like a tryout or a practice over there one day. Oh my God. Those are men. We are not men. Like technically we are men, but we're not men like those guys are men. I watched them for about 10 minutes in practice. I go, I can't watch this. I feel terrible about myself. Just yoked and beating the crap out of each other fast and shredded bodies. I was like, I can't. I'm not watching
No helmets,
this.
No pads.
No,
you know.
I'm a baseball player, bro. Smoke cigarettes and put me at first base. But it was so I got to do practice last night with my little guys, and it was. I got to tell you, man, I was pacing the house at 2 p.m. Practice was at 4:30. I looked at Hannah. I go, what am I going to do for the next 2.5 hours? So I'm like doing busy work. I'm doing admin work. I was so excited to get back because this is the first team I've had with these kids have 3-4 seasons under their belt. They love baseball. They're into it. They want to get better. Are they perfect? Do they always know what they're doing? No, but they want to learn, and they let me coach them. And I got to tell you, I left there on cloud 9. Now, I left there with no voice, but I left there on cloud 9, getting to really, really coach and teach. And I got home, I looked at Hannah, I go, this is the next thing for me.
You're turning into Mike Schilt.
I said, I love this. Yeah, I said, I just love this, man. This is where I belong, is coaching these kids and trying to make them better. And it was awesome, man. Bo was great, listened, coachable, a leader, like everything I had asked him to be. I did not trade him. I would have several offers for him because he looks really good. But I have like an infield. I looked around and I went, that's a legitimate infield. Like that, we almost turned 2 double plays at practice. Like they're 7. Like they were legit.
Not to rain on your parade because I'm happy for you, and I do think that this is definitely something that is right up your alley. But after the first practice, you haven't had to set a lineup. You haven't heard a parent complain about where their child is playing or how much time they're playing or where their spot in the batting order is. The stuff that really makes parents hate coaching kids.
Sure.
You haven't gotten to that yet. You've just gotten to teach some baseball and get everybody excited about the season.
So the good news is I know 7, 8 parents. Every one of the dads was there last night, and I was wearing their kids out, and every one of the dads was like, hell yeah, go get them. Like, they love it. The dads don't care at all. The moms weren't there last night. But, yeah, I'm not a hard coach. I'm a loud coach. I'm loud. Why would you go there? Now you got an easy step on third. Come on, think about baseball. That's me, dude. I don't yell at them and tell them they're terrible or they stink or anything. I'm just a loud exuberant, excitable coach who loves this game. I just love this game. So the timing of it all is perfect, man. The season's starting up again. My seasons are starting up again. The Tier 1 start on Sunday. This is it, man. This is like landing at Disney World for the next 8 months for me.
So we all had busy evenings, and that was before the Aztecs game even started. Paulie had a basketball game. You had your Little League practice. I had my event. And then you come back and watch a basketball game that stretches deep into the night with craziness, absolute insanity. If you missed it or turned it off halfway through, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, that was crazy last night.
I was ready to turn it off at halftime.
I was too, and you know me, I'm not the turning it off type.
I did.
I was very frustrated and ready to turn it off.
I always think that in
fact, the fact that I didn't turn it off or you didn't turn it off is quite telling of how the game went in the second half.
I think I was the bad luck because I watched the entire first half. We were texting about it, and then it was, 9:30 or something? I go, I got to start trying to wind it down.
Down 17.
Yeah, down 17. I go, I'm just going to shut it down. So I shut it down, and you guys kept texting, and I was reading your text going, oh, all right, well, I'm not turning it back on.
Yeah, whatever you're doing, it's working.
So you guys are welcome for that. Paulie had a men's basketball game. Got a little chippy last night, yeah?
A little bit right there at the end.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys win?
We lost. I lost my cool a little bit at the end.
Did you get chippy because you were losing?
We got chippy because this team had like 2 pretty good players and 1 really good player. This guy dunked 3 times, including an alley-oop on a fast break. And I go,
forget it, dude.
We are in the lowest level on Tuesday nights because we're all fat old guys.
Yeah, we just want to play hoops.
Trying to get some cardio in a fun way. And this guy dunked 3 times. I'm like, that should be automatic promotion to the next level.
Correct. If you have a guy on your team that can dunk, you don't get to play the lowest level.
Not even, like, I used to be able to dunk. Rarely ever even close in a game. Like, I'm talking everybody clear out of the way.
Move!
If I do everything perfectly, in practice, I could maybe dunk it. This guy, in a game, 3 dunks, including like an insane
Can you really
alley-oop.
be mad about that? They're just better than you.
They're in the lower level,
Maybe they're in the wrong league, but
that's what he's saying.
That's
what I'm saying.
But they're just playing good basketball.
Yes.
You can't get mad about that.
I got mad at the other guy who didn't do anything except run his mouth the whole game.
Oh, so he's got the good player. He's not great.
Yeah.
And he's just
I really didn't even
time.
say anything until the end. I had like 3 other guys on my team that were like, shut the... You know, they were in his face. And then finally at the end, I just, I kind of...
Lost your cool?
A little bit.
Did you dap up after?
He walked away.
Hopefully.
But I dapped up everybody else. And
well, we know what he's listening to this morning. It's not us, right?
Yeah.
Remember, we're trying to keep listeners here. Paulie? Jeez.
Yeah.
That's fun, though. I'm glad we all have some things that we like to do.
It's the adrenaline going a little bit.
Yeah, it does, man. Yeah. It does.
We have to keep moving here because I'll set the menu coming up, but we have an early guest today from Peoria, Arizona. He is safe and sound in his new home for the next 6 weeks. Coming up, bottom of the hour, spring training, Sammy. First time. You can expect pretty much daily appearances with Ben and Woods until spring training is concluded, but we'll check in, set the scene from Peoria, Arizona in the first hour. We'll let you know what else is coming up on the program after Kelly Danick's traffic. Good to have everybody on a Wednesday morning. Ben, Woods, Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So it ended up being a late night last night. If you stayed all the way through to the Aztecs game.
I stayed up.
You said you stayed up. You were just not watching.
No, I turned it off. Why didn't I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. I just, I think I was still on a high from running around coaching. I had such a great time doing it, man. I'm looking forward to the next one. And, this rain's coming in this week, and it's going to put a damper on. I still have a T-ball team I got to find a practice space for at some point and get those guys out running around too. So it's going to be busy, man. This baseball season is going to be, it's going to be wall-to-wall baseball for me for the next 8 months, but that's the way I love it.
Plus, you're going to have to deal with potential weather. Mm-hmm. We've got rain. It's already started. It's had a little bit of the sprinkles on the way in, but it's supposed to get pretty gnarly for the next, 48 hours or so. 2.5 inches around the coast, I think Megan Perry was saying last night, and flood warnings starting tomorrow around 10 a.m. So
flood warnings, wow.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna saturate today, and then the real hard stuff may be coming probably not until later in the day tomorrow. But she said because the ground's going to be saturated, they're going to be careful and keep everybody aware. I have no idea what it means for the Genesis Invitational, which they got their pro-am today, and then the first round scheduled to begin at 9:30 tomorrow morning. I would imagine they would like to get in some of the golf tomorrow, but if it's raining, there's not a ton you can do, and it may be a washout, and they're going to have to figure out how to cram in all the golf over the weekend.
So the forecast, as I've seen it now, it'll change. It's San Diego. It's pretty good here. When they say it's going to rain 3 days, it usually rains what? About 2.5.
Yeah,
about 2.
2.
So Friday, will they just play 36?
It's possible, yeah. It's a smaller field, so they might, if they start early, instead of starting at 9:30, you start at like 7:30 in the morning.
Now, they won't open.
You send them back out after they finish their first round, at least get the second round started.
Would they do anything goofy, like saying, well, we're going to have to open the north. We want to get this golf in? Is that, it's there.
I don't think that's, I think they can get everybody on the south. It's just a matter of getting them back out. It's the lack of daylight this time of year. If this was June and the sun stayed up until 7:30,
play the whole day, the whole tournament,
play the whole day. But we're still pre-daylight saving, and it's they've got just a limited amount of time that you can actually get golf in, especially with some weather, and you can't have puddles on the greens, and it's just it can be a problem.
Yeah,
so
you got a problem.
Get a problem,
Genesis.
Yeah, well, they do have a problem. They'll have to figure it out. But so keep my eye on that.
It's very wet.
As I mentioned,
I know it's wet.
Sammy spring training or spring training Sammy. We can't decide what actually sounds better or what we've gone with in the past.
I can't remember what we originally deemed him. I believe he tweeted the other day, spring training Sammy, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I think it is. But we were going spring training Sammy or Sammy spring training. They both sound good. They both sound like we've used them in the past.
Yeah.
But I go, well, we do off-season Sammy.
So then
we do post-season Sammy.
So
we do in-season Sammy.
So it would be spring training Sammy.
Yeah.
Spring training Sammy.
So he is in Peoria. We'll talk to him at the bottom of the hour. Got some other Padres talk to get into. They officially announced the Jason Hayward deal yesterday. We can discuss again the moves that have been made and still need to be made by the San Diego Padres.
I'll give you my honest feedback here. When I saw the graphic come out, I got for a moment irrationally excited. I did. I saw you saw the terms come out. And you go, oh, all right. And then I thought to myself, we're going to get a chance to talk to Jason Hayward in a couple weeks. I've liked that guy since he came up with the Chicago Cubs, I believe. Right? Was he a Cub first or was he a Cardinal first?
One of the two.
One of the two. I've enjoyed him, and I've heard nothing but great things about him. So for me,
Braves.
Braves. So he went
Cardinals,
Braves, Cardinals, Cubs.
Dodgers,
won a World Series
Astros.
with the Cubs, Dodgers, Astros. I got irrationally excited. That's right. Jay Hay was with the Braves. He was really, really good. I got irrationally excited about going, oh, this is a guy that's been playing Major League Baseball for a long time. I get to interview him more than likely, out at spring training, and that made me irrationally excited.
He was Jackson Merrill before Jackson Merrill, Rookie of the Year runner-up. His first season in the big leagues.
Crazy. Who won it that year? Do you know? Off the top of your
that's a good
head?
question. I think it was 2010.
Yeah, Braves, Cardinals,
National League Rookie of the Year in 2010.
All-Stars Rookie Year.
To look that up, yeah, just like Jackson Merrill.
It's great.
but now he's 37. And I was listening to Chris Ello yesterday. He is definitely not that excited about the move.
Oh, really?
Connor Joe and Jason Hayward. He wasn't feeling it. And I certainly understand.
We've been burned before.
Yeah, I certainly understand that perspective. Going to be the wait and see. And he goes, hey, if he has a great season, fantastic. I'm happy to let it unfold. But right now, you can't convince me that either of those guys or the combination of those two guys is the answer.
It's a very logical. I don't want to say this isn't an insult when I say, oh, that's a safe take by Chris Ello. It's not. That's how he genuinely feels. I don't know. Like, I know Connor. I'm excited to see Connor and say hello. I know the human being, the person, so I'm really excited about that. And then Jason Hayward, by all accounts, everything I've heard, the most elite clubhouse guy on the planet. So I think we need that. I think we lost some of that with some of the guys that we lost. So if you can come in and do that, and come off the bench or do whatever, help this team win games for $1 million, no brainer. But I also got irrationally excited about Matt Carpenter and Nelly Cruz. I think we all did.
I kind of feel like I'm somewhere in the middle because none of those signings from the weekend, they didn't blow my hair back.
Sure, of course.
We needed bodies, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Low risk, average reward. But I'm looking at the history, just the last 5 years with A.J. Preller, and he has found so many diamonds in the rough.
He has.
Jurickson Profar last year, who at least we knew, but nobody's expecting that season.
No.
Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo, Jorge Alfaro, Gary Sanchez, Kyle Higashioka.
All these cult heroes.
They come out of nowhere, and you had no expectations, or at least low expectations, and they surpassed them. Then you also have the Nelly Cruz and the Matt Carpenter signings. You know what I mean? Which one is this going to be?
Think about Solano. Think about Peralta. That's at least the headspace I'm in, and at least the quality.
We had Robinson Cano in a Padres uniform.
Yeah, the quality of the human, I think, is what I'm most excited about. And again, 100% selfishly, I'm looking forward to talking baseball with a guy that has been there and got the ultimate prize. And by all accounts, his clubhouse speech is pretty much what won the Cubs the World Series. I want to ask him about stuff like that. Like we may never see him again after spring training. He could be well on his way, back wherever he lives, and he's like, I didn't make the team, or I got hurt, or whatever. But the opportunity to talk to Jason Hayward, I'm pretty excited about.
I think he will make the team, and I think he will make a positive impact. If you're hoping for a 25 home run season, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
they're looking for a seven hitter.
Yep.
They're looking for a guy who can platoon and maybe combine with the other guy to hit around 20 home runs. That's what they're looking for from Jason Hayward. And if you keep those expectations somewhat reasonable, then you're not going to be overly disappointed.
I think that's my whole motto with the San Diego Padres this year. I'm trying to keep my expectations reasonable. But we do have superstars on this team, and those superstars, as I said last year, you guys are going to get tired of hearing it again. The superstars have to play like superstars. They just do. We can't go anywhere without them this year. Not going anywhere without them.
I see spring training Sammy in our YouTube stream ready to go, so we'll get to him coming up. After that, we can talk about the Aztecs' incredible comeback last night. We have our regular features as well, like Don't Do This, Take on Woods, and the Reindl Report, all here on a Wednesday edition of Ben and Woods. First, though, let's talk about will and trust, and what happens
trust and will.
And will and trust and will.
Yeah.
And trust and will.
Or will and trust.
Well, if you want to put it in the website, you should probably type in trustandwill.com.
Don't will and grace.
But you need wills and you need trusts.
That's true.
In order to secure your family's future, one or the other. You like to talk about how important trusts are.
Yeah.
If you like to avoid something called probate court and the fees that come along with probate court when you're trying to pass along your assets, like your home, to your children.
Well, think about this. You're no longer here, and your family is now stuck in probate court. They cannot access the savings, the property, or the other assets until that court process is over. They're in limbo. It's a heartbreaking time already, and now they have to deal with this. Oh, and then guess what? The probate costs are about 3 to 7% of your estate's value in legal fees. So more money out the door for your family. So it doesn't have to be this way. Go to trustandwill.com. When you fill out all of the questions, answer all the questions, it's really easy to do. Guys, then just throw in the code San Diego, all one word. You'll get 10% off plus free shipping of your estate plan documents. Again, trustandwill.com. Use code San Diego when you check out.
Yeah, it's already affordable, and you can save so much in the long run for your family.
That's right.
It really is a no-brainer. It's just one of those uncomfortable things you don't want to deal with. They make it as easy as possible. 20 minutes, you get your documents, you're in, you're out, and you've got that peace in mind and security for your family's future at trustandwill.com. I feel for Sam Levin. Didn't even have, I heard him yesterday saying he doesn't even have his pictures hung on the walls yet of his new spot in OB.
Oh, that's where we were at. So he didn't get much done in the new place?
No, he's going to leave it for when he returns because off on the road he went yesterday. He has arrived safely in Peoria, Arizona. He will be at the Peoria Sports Complex today with coverage of the Padres' first pitchers and catchers workout of spring training, and we will set the scene for the next 6 weeks with Sammy Spring Training. No, Spring Training Sammy.
Yep.
Right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Hey, San Diego, Kearney Mesa Volkswagen is sending you all the love and a traffic-free ride this Valentine's Day. Well, guys, rain hitting a good part of the county right now, so please give yourself extra time if you have to hit the roads and be extra careful once you're out there, especially on those transition ramps. Several problems in the North County. Got a collision on northbound 5 just past Carmel Valley Road. Car and big regular over the right shoulder. Also a stalled car on southbound 5 past Palomar Airport Road. Got the right lane blocked. Eastbound 78 before Civic Center. Two-vehicle accident over the right shoulder and still clearing an accident on the Carmel Mountain Road on-ramp to southbound 15. Love is in the air at Kearney Mesa Volkswagen. Drive home a new 2024 Jetta SE for just $255 per month. Fall in love with these savings at your veteran-owned dealership. Visit KearneyMesaVolkswagen.com for more details. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And out we go to suburban Phoenix, Arizona, home of the Cactus League, Padres Spring Training Baseball. And joining us right now, Spring Training Sammy, as he gets ready for his long 6 weeks of spring training coverage. We were trying to decide, is this your 4th spring training, Sam?
This is my 3rd spring training, but the start of my 4th season.
Okay, so this is his 3rd year that he's been sentenced to hard time in Arizona for 6 weeks.
The first year, we were out at spring training when Sam got hired.
That's right.
He called into our show when we were out there
That's
on the patio, so you missed that spring training, so this is number 3. Okay.
Yeah, it's like...
And don't shortchange me. It's like 6.5 weeks.
That's true.
It's officially 43 nights here in the Airbnb,
Oh,
which,
my God.
if you're watching on YouTube, you can see behind me. I'm actually at the same house I was last year, but in the other unit, on the other side of the guy's house. So pretty similar, nice little familiarity. A little bit smaller, but maybe a little bit nicer than last year's unit. So we're doing pretty good.
43 nights.
It's like 42 or 43. I got to look. Something like that.
It's like being in Tent City
So
out in Arizona.
I am fully moved in. I mean, I take my clothes out of my bag. I put it in the drawers here. Hang up my clothes. Kind of spread out, so we got to get the coffee machine kind of dialed in. Had some issues with that this morning, but other than that, everything is A-okay so far. Very good.
So I picture of you yesterday driving out. You made, the usual stops, Cafe Adesso, to get some coffee. There's a picture of you at Cafe Adesso, and I noticed, and some other listeners pointed this out as well. Somebody DM'd me and said, we got to ask Sammy about this. I said, what is it? And he goes, well, look at his clothes. He's got his clothes hanging in the front seat. And I went, Sammy's clearly a psychopath. Why did you hang you're hanging shirts in the front instead of the back?
So couple of things about that Cafe Adesso picture, and I'll get to the second thing in a moment. Well, two reasons I put the clothes in the front. Number one, those were just some last-minute additions. Like, I was like, oh, you know what, I'll take a couple of these flannels for casual wear.
Yeah.
And then I had some suitcases in the back, and in the back of my car, the seats were down.
Yep.
So then it was sort of hard to hang without those shirts sort of getting bunched up in the side there.
Got it.
I only had a few.
Okay.
And it didn't block my mirror.
I was worried about your blind spot. Yeah,
everyone was totally fine.
Worried about your blind spot.
I would not have done it. I know it looked weird, like when you saw it, but it was totally fine. But the other part about that stop at Cafe Adesso, and I did see Mrs. Musgrove. And
nice.
Super friendly.
Angel.
And could not have been nicer to me. So that's become sort of an annual tradition on my trip out to spring training, going to Cafe Adesso and seeing Mrs. Musgrove. But then I also ran into Mud, who just happened to be there at Cafe Adesso in Alpine.
Well, I thought he was your barista.
Well, that was funny. I saw the comments of people being like, "Is Mud working at Cafe Adesso during the off season? Is he a barista in the off season?" No, I can confirm he was just there grabbing a cup of coffee. But very good to see Mud.
I thought you guys were like carpooling or something.
Musgrove, yeah.
My guess,
Sammy, I need a ride.
My guess is that he gets free coffee there, and so he makes appearances down there. I do get the sense that Mud just kind of ambles down the hill from Alpine. He's like, what do we got going today?
Like it's the press box or something.
Yeah, Mud's going to be the next Randy Jones. You know? Yeah, they made me an ambassador, so I'll just be in the owner's box. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Mud just lean. It's so cool. Like, there's Mud just leaning against the. Hey, Sammy, how we doing, buddy? Just drinking a cappuccino.
That's basically what happened. Basically what happened. I was in the drive-through, and then all of a sudden there was Mud.
What a gem.
Just came up right up to my window.
And then you had the annual stop in Dateland.
Still never had it.
Yeah.
For the date shake.
I've never had the date shake.
A lot of calories in the date shake.
Yeah, lots.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It is. It's worth the stop to get once. And the stop itself is pretty nice. There's a gas station. There's also a store with a lot of snacks, and it's I would say a nicer one. So it's not a bad stop in general. And then you have the date shake portion of the store. It is good. Now, it's an acquired taste because, number one, I don't think everybody loves dates. But number two, the dates are very piecey in the shakes.
Yeah,
like, I think if anybody's ever had it, yeah. Like you get a lot of date pieces, and sometimes they're almost kind of like strawy, like, kind of like the outside of a date. So it's a little bit of an acquired taste. It is good. It is sweet. I did get a date shake. You can get other shakes, but that was good. I also stopped in Yuma. I went to Mr. G's Tacos.
Yes, that's our spot.
That's our spot. Yeah, that's what we love.
That was good. I had 2 rolled tacos and a bean rice and cheese
so good.
burrito.
They're like $3.
Incredible.
So good.
Yes, yes, very cheap. So I had some good stops. I got out pretty early, and I got my money's worth on the drive out to Peoria.
Well, listen, man. Today it all gets started, and this is my favorite part about spring training is that pitchers and catchers are today. The rest of the position players. What's the drop dead? We figured out Monday, which is the 17th. Always fun to see and be a Karen about who's there early working and who waits till the very last minute to come strolling in. We do it every year. It's honestly one of my favorite things about spring training. It's like, oh, look who showed up at the last minute, Sammy. But I think there's already there's going to be a lot of players, a lot of position players there. It's going to be great. What is on the agenda today, day one?
Yeah, well, number one, I would also say I'm with you that becomes like a storyline every spring.
Oh, it's a joke storyline. I couldn't care less, but I think it's
who's
fun.
Who's there? Who's not? I mean,
I guess you're committed.
It's an 8-month season. Guys have wives and kids. Like it's the silliest thing. If somebody shows up the 16th or the 17th, it doesn't mean anything.
Correct.
As far as their commitment to the team, although it's always good to see who is there. I mean, what would you put on the percentage that Jackson Merrill is?
He's
there
100%.
Well, he was already there when we were at fantasy camp 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's
right.
My son yesterday said to me, we were talking about it, pitchers and catchers and what they have to do and show up and everything, and he goes, "I bet Jackson Merrill's already there." I go, "Bo, he is the first kid out on the field. Trust me." I said, "This guy is going to be shot out of a cannon on day one." They're going to have to tell him it's different than last year. Last year, probably. Honestly, like as confident as he was, he could kind of go into spring training going, "I got no shot of making this team. I'm going to learn and absorb as much as I can." Now he is like, he's an a potential all-star player and is going to be the starting center fielder for the San Diego Padres. It's different. It's a different mindset. It's a different work set of things that he needs to do to get ready for the season. I think it's going to be a wild difference for him.
Yeah, look, I look forward to talking to him and getting his thoughts as he heads into year 2. I mean, he said all the right things at FanFest, and I'm sure he'll continue to say those things about trying to have a mindset like he's trying to make the team again. But it is different, Woodsy, to your point. As far as the schedule today, a lot of bullpens. I mean, it's not going to, knock your socks off what's going on today. A lot of bullpens. There are live BPs scheduled with a number of different guys. So that'll be interesting to see who participates on the hitter side of the live BPs, and if guys like Merrill or others are there, I'm sure they may be a part of that. So a lot of live BPs, a lot of PFP type stuff, working on the running game and comebacker stuff like that. Catchers will go through their drills. So pretty basic first day of pitchers and catchers.
God, I love it. Though.
Looking at the schedule here, bullpens, live BPs, fielding, practice, catcher, defensive stuff, and BP for the catchers as well.
Sammy, you're talking dirty. You're talking dirty to me right now, man. This is phenomenal.
It's great. I mean, look, you guys know, and this is our third spring training of checking in every day. I mean, I love this time of year. I highly encourage people to come out here when the games begin. It's really unique stuff. If you love baseball, you will love what goes on those backfields. I mean, you just don't see it during the course of the regular season. So I love this time of year, and it should be fun, and I'm happy that Adam and the powers that be at 97.3 The Fan have set me out here again, and we will have full coverage again, both here on the radio and on social media. The goal every day here my goal is to sort of be the eyes and ears for the fan here at spring training for the majority of people, I'm sure, that won't get down here. So a lot of stuff on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, just a lot of video stuff. So we'll hit the ground running today, but looks like a pretty standard day of pitchers and catchers work today. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Here's what I want to know. Talking to spring training Sam Levitt, live from Peoria, Arizona. This will be your first of daily Mike Shildt conversations. It'll happen around 10:30 our time, I believe, this morning. What are we trying to learn from Mike Shildt? I mean, we just heard from him at Fan Fest a couple of weeks ago, so not a lot has changed. They did add a couple of players, but what are we trying to wheedle out of Mike Shildt on day one? Because I have some suggestions.
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear them. I mean, look, I think obviously you can get into mindset and culture, and I feel like a lot of that was covered last year, and I don't imagine the answers will be all that dissimilar for year number 2, especially considering the success they had a year ago. I think, just on a positional level, to me, one of the more interesting things I've been thinking about in heading out here are just those final 2 starting rotation spots. Now, of course, one of the looming questions throughout this spring is going to be, are there going to be other moves? And how big are those other moves going to be? And I think just with the starting rotation, the question of will there be a more veteran signing one way or another that comes in here and at least eats up one of those spots. But I think important today as we enter spring training, look, I'm going to deal in the reality of who's in the clubhouse. I'm not really going to worry about who's not here. So to me, at this moment, they have 2 open rotation spots. I think we would all agree the 2 leaders in the clubhouse at the outset are probably Randy Vasquez and Matt Waldron. But, one thing, and this goes back to Mike Shildt, and something I do want to ask him about in the first couple of days here is sort of how he views those final 2 spots of the rotation and the competition for it. Because what's to say? I mean, there are a lot of guys in that clubhouse that do have some pretty good minor league experience now. What's to say that a Ryan Bergert couldn't perform really well at spring training and find himself in the starting rotation in that 5th spot, or an Omar Cruz? Like, even though they traded a lot of that away at the deadline a year ago, there are some names that remain. So I'm curious to see how they view those final 2 spots and how open a competition it really will be. And look, that's going to be really something throughout the roster. I mean, that's just the nature of where they're at right now as far as the construction of this roster. There's going to be a lot of open competition and a lot of opportunities. So that's something with Mike Shildt that I do want to ask him about the first couple of days, the final 2 spots of those of the rotation, and how he views the competition for those 2 spots.
I agree with you, Sammy. I think he hinted at it during Fan Fest. He talked about, Adrian Morejon staying in the bullpen, but he's not going to be able to hide really. Within the first week, you're going to see which bullpen guys are stretching out. Is it Brian Hoeing? Is it Stephen Kolak? Who's really getting a real shot to try to win a spot in the starting rotation that was in the bullpen last year?
Yeah, and I should have mentioned that as part of that conversation. I think that is right in there as far as interesting parts of those final 2 rotation spots, and something that you're right. They I don't know that they're trying to hide it during spring training, but it gets hard once those guys start throwing and you start getting a sense of how they're being used during the games, right? If all of a sudden Stephen Kolek is slated to go 2 or 3 innings, well, that gives you a pretty good idea of how they may want to use him. Or Brian Hoeing. Hoeing's a little bit different because he's a long man anyway, but you'd get a sense pretty early of how they might want to use him. So again, Ben, that's a great point. It's an interesting part of it. And look, they do have, I was looking at it earlier. Look, it's a deep bullpen. A lot of names there. I mean, especially when you want to add in Alec Jacob and Sean Reynolds, maybe a couple of guys who you think have a really, really, really good shot to make this bullpen out of spring training. So they may have the luxury to at least toy with a little bit the idea of a Hoeing or a Kolek being stretched out into a starter. And I think a good question for Mike Schilt as well in that sense is, so if they start doing that, how committed to that are they? I mean, if you do start stretching out a Kolek, does that mean you're really trying to wedge him into one of those spots, or is it something where he has to win it and then you'd kind of, take him back a step a little bit and get him ready to be more of kind of the role he was in last year? So that's again, the starting pitching part of things, I think in a number of respects, that's one of the more interesting parts of this as we begin things here today.
We'll have some fun out there, Sammy. I know it's long. Just, hey, one day at a time, pal. You can get it done. We'll see you in a couple weeks. We'll talk to you every day. Try to get some Tirso video. I'd like to see his swing. I think everybody in the fan base would. As much as we, a lot of us like the new additions, having another Jackson Merrill, 2.0 would be pretty sick, man. And to have a guy that says, nope, I'm taking this. This is mine. I'm taking it would be pretty cool. Got a lot of pop. Would love to see some swings if you can get them.
Woodsy, my goal is to get all the video I can. It's also to stay physically and spiritually strong for the next 6.5 weeks.
Good.
You want to pace yourself.
Yeah, don't burn yourself out today.
I've typically hit the wall around like week 4.5, 5, where I feel it. So we're trying not to hit the wall physically, spiritually strong in Peoria. That's the goal in 2025.
Take care of yourself.
And don't accidentally stumble into the wrong unit at the Airbnb thinking it's last year and you walk in on someone in a, possibly compromising situation.
Well, it should be with the codes and stuff where I can't.
All right.
We should be okay. Hopefully
Take care,
that
Sammy.
works properly.
Thank you, buddy.
There's Sam Levitt. You'll hear him pretty much daily with us, and then you'll also catch him with some of the other shows I heard Annie and Elston talking about. They hit him, a couple times a week because he's usually working during their show, but then they'll catch up with Gwen and Chris in the afternoons with new sound and players, and Mike Schilt and maybe AJ Preller from time to time. You know how it works at spring training. It's a process, and they all go through it, and this is now what they do to get ready for the season.
Yeah, buddy, can't wait. I'm titillated right now.
I'm jealous that he's already out there.
I know, I am too. I am too,
for sure. 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today will be our first show. Can't wait.
Don't forget to listen at 9 a.m. this morning for us to announce our next biggest fan, a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a future Padres game. You can register your name at 973thefan.sd.com/biggest-fan in order to potentially have your name called 3 different opportunities every weekday, 9 and 1 o'clock, 5:30 p.m. to be our biggest fan. All right, we will come back, and if you did not stay up because it was a late game and they gave you every reason to turn it off at halftime, the Aztecs did it again. Came back, 17-0 run in the second half. We'll talk a little college basketball and more to kick off hour number 2 of Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I really don't think I'm exaggerating. And I know people accused me last night of perhaps forgetting some bad moments in the past on social media, but I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that's the worst half of San Diego State basketball I've ever seen last night.
Ever.
At San Jose State. And I've seen some bad ones. I mean, I watched the 9-point first half at Wyoming a few years ago with Jamal Franklin on the team. I mean, it was a horrifically bad game, but I don't remember the turnovers and just looking like they had never played basketball together. I mean, Paulie, did you get that sense? Like they looked in the first half.
So I missed like the first 10 minutes of the game.
I mean, so did everybody else. They didn't join it in progress until 5 minutes in. They were already down 6.
The only pushback I would have is I feel like I personally have said I feel like that was the worst half of Aztecs basketball I've ever seen. Like 3 times this year.
I get it.
Including last Tuesday night when I was driving home from basketball and they were down 20 in the first half at home.
Against the same San Jose State team 2 weeks ago.
It's like, I think
so I get that.
Being down 20 at home to San Jose State was worse than last night.
Score-wise, it was worse.
It was ugly.
Aesthetically, though.
Oh, aesthetically, it was a giant turd. 0 for 13 from 3. It was
12 turnovers.
12 turnovers.
Yeah, it was just like dribbling into a corner and losing the ball and trying to pass to somebody and throwing it over his head out of bounds. It was just weird.
What is the opposite of crisp? Soggy. It was soggy. That's how they look. They look like a soggy basketball team.
Very soggy.
Like a piece of toast that you ran under the sink and you're like, I guess I'll eat it. I got nothing else. It was horrific. Clank, 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 clank. I mean, they'd get the ball, Ben, in transition, and then they would spot up with, what's the shot clock? 30?
20, 30 starts at 30, so yeah.
Spot up with 28 on the clock and just clank. I'm like, guys, what is happening right now? What is happening? And it's the same thing that's been happening to this team, I don't know, the first half of almost every game this season.
I guess what made last night different for me, and I get it, I get a little too emotional when watching San Diego State basketball, but the other games, I still knew in my heart, all right, a terrible start, but they are the better team, and they'll probably make a run and come back. They may lose because they've dug themselves into a big hole, but they probably will make a run. I didn't get that sense at halftime. I didn't get the sense that they could come back, that there was anything they could do about it. They were just simply going to turn in a putrid performance that was going to wreck any hopes they had of making the NCAA tournament, and that was it. And I was almost resigned to it. And I'm not the kind of fan who gets resigned to bad outcomes. I'm always hopeful until it really is the end and the nail is in the coffin. But last night at halftime, I really felt like hope was lost, which made the comeback even more stunning because it wasn't the old, hey, nose to the grindstone, we're going to play hard for 18 minutes, and if everything goes right, we're going to chip away, and eventually maybe we can give ourselves a chance in the last 3 minutes of the game to come back and win it. No, they came out in halftime, and within 4 minutes and change, they had erased the entire 17-point deficit with a 17-0 run out of the locker room.
They were down 17 at half, and the media timeout came with 15 minutes and 56 seconds to go. In 4 minutes, the game was tied.
Bananas.
Unbelievable.
It was like they had just switched uniforms at halftime in the locker room. Like, all right, now you come out and you be us and we'll be you. And, we'll just absolutely reverse roles in the second half. San Jose State was turning it over. They were chucking up threes that were clanging and bricking, and San Diego State was just unstoppable. And so the game was tied at 37 at that point. It was 37-20 at the half. It was 37-37 just over 4 minutes into the second half. And then after that, it was actually a pretty good game. Yeah. It was close. San Jose State, staggered but recovered, hit some threes, and it was back and forth. Aztecs were up by 2, 4. San Jose State took the lead. San Diego State went back up. It was still tied, I think 57-57 with around 3 minutes to go when the Aztecs finally took the lead for good on a flying tip-in by Miles Bird coming back on a fast break. But it wasn't even over then. They still had, opportunity San Jose State did to tie it or take the lead, all the way down to the last second after Wayne McKinney had hit the first free throw and made it a 3-point game. And there was only a half second left, and okay, it's over, right? There's no way. They had a chance. They actually missed the free throw. The guy waited and let it bounce so he could get himself geared up to throw it all the way across the court.
Yep.
80 feet across the court. And wouldn't you know, I mean, it nearly banked in to send the game to overtime.
Yeah.
It nearly banked in. It came down to even the last shot. Yeah, Miles Bird hit an absolutely huge three, Carlos, after San Jose State had cut the lead to 1 with the 3 of their own. Hit the only one he made all game. Miles Bird did not shoot well, but made the one they needed really him to make with about a minute and a half to go to put it back at 4 and just keep them just barely at arm's length at the end of the game. It was really another nutty college basketball game last night.
Better at the line, certainly. That was
way better.
A big bugaboo, 17 of 22. Yeah, I mean, and without those, you're not there to win it at the end of the game. San Jose State
3 for 10 the other way.
Yeah.
Missed 7 shots from the line.
That's an ugly-ass court. No offense to any San Diego or San Jose State. What's their Spartans. No offense if there's any Spartans listening. That's a tough watch. That is a tough watch. It's very busy. But yeah, I shut it off right at half. I go, I can't do this. I'm tired as hell. I got to get some rest. Turns out didn't get any rest, but still turned it off. And then when you guys kept texting me updates, I'm like, well, I'm not turning it. I'm a big Jinx guy, so I feel like the minute I turn it back on, they start to turn the ball over again and play really sloppily.
They got the lead down to 9.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's 4.
5. Now
great.
It's a 2-point game.
Tied.
Holy S word, they're tied.
I got a text that just said tied, and I was like, all right, hopefully they pull out a dub. But yeah,
how about this?
You can't survive this way. You can't.
I mean, they should have lost 3 times in the last 4 games, but they have survived.
What was Dutcher's quote? You get one of these every 3 seasons.
Yeah, you get a 20-0 run or an 18-0 run or a 17-0 run maybe once every 3 years. We had 3 of them in the last 4 games, and they needed all of them to avoid crushing losses.
God, and we say this every time this happens. Every time. The Standard Sports Radio. Hey, man. This team's learning how to win. They're learning how to come from behind. They're learning how to.
I had a buddy text me last night. He goes, "Hey, this is if this team can get into the tournament,
this is a good thing.
This is what's going to build them up for that."
We are so dumb, dude. Yeah. We are all so dumb. I'm so glad I didn't tweet it last night. I texted it to you guys. I said, "Do we need to brace for the possibility that these guys just stink? Like they just stink." It was such an uninspiring, bad first half of basketball. Again, that I texted you guys to go, and Ben's like, yeah, they stink. They stink.
Said, it's a very uncomfortable feeling for a San Diego State basketball fan since I moved here in 2009. They've been really good.
Yes.
Every year. They barely have missed the tournament. It feels weird to be like, yeah, they just may not be a very good team.
Yeah, you said I'm going to have to say on the air tomorrow that this just isn't a good basketball team. It's hard to resign.
And now that we have the finished product from last night, I still don't know.
I know.
Are they a bad team that got hot and got away with a victory, or are they a good team that weathered a storm and got another win? I don't know.
All you got to do is go to Ben's tweets and read the comments under. I mean, I saw Dutcher era is over. I saw Brian Dutcher on the hot seat. I saw get him out of here. I saw all of it. We got our Dutcher bobblehead.
That is perhaps an overreaction.
I think so.
By the way, Dutcher's halftime adjustments absolutely elite.
Yep.
He changed the offense a little bit. He told his team at halftime, I will figure something out on offense for you guys here, but you can't give up. That's all he said. Just don't give up.
That's cool.
I'll figure something out. What we're doing now obviously isn't working. Figure something out, and he did. They changed it up, and an elite adjuster. Brian Dutcher, definitely not the problem with this team. It's just the massive slumps, shooting slumps that they go into, and then they let those shooting slumps affect the rest of their game.
Correct.
Then the shooting slumps turn into turnover sprees, which then turn into odd defensive lapses for San Diego State.
There's more panic.
Yes.
In this team.
Yes.
There's more panic. It's more
dribbling panic.
It's more frantic.
Yeah.
It's more frantic than it's been before with some Aztecs team in years past that we've watched. But hey, man, You can't complain about a dub, dude. It doesn't matter how you got it. You got it.
I'm looking in our chat. Dub J says, and he's not wrong. He says, too many come from behind wins to be a good team. I'm like, couldn't an optimist at least say that makes a good team?
Yes.
That you are able to come back.
That you're able to do that.
You're not just out of it.
Remember, I mean, dude,
look at the Padres.
Padres would do it. And
a couple years ago, they'd be down 4-0. You're like, this game's over.
This game, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then last year, you're like, bro, come on.
We're just getting started.
We're winning this game. And we would come in here and lament the same things. Get off to a fast start. Throw strikes early. Stop putting guys on. Don't kick the ball around. Don't have bad base running in the first 3 innings. Clean that stuff up and see what happens. But you never felt like you were out of a game. And I guess here's just another example when you watch the Aztecs. You're not out of it. Our beloved Darnay Tripp, who always has the best Aztecs takes.
Best sportscaster in town.
I think some of the best Aztec takes. He said, well, if this team does get in to March, imagine their round 1 game and just how nauseatingly terrifying it will be.
They're down 18-2.
Yeah, and you're just like, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. And then and only then can you call upon what's happened this entire season as a fan and go, I'm not worried. They've done this before. They can do it again.
The one thing that they can do that we've seen, other than come back, they have some players who can make plays. Nick Boyd was the guy yesterday. He had some drives in the second half, like acrobatic circus shots, under the basket, layups to help and fuel the comeback. So even though they never really did, they made 4 3-pointers in the second half, finished 4 of 23. I think it's like 18% on the game. You should lose when you do that, but they did enough around the basket. They did enough on the offensive glass in the second half with Miles Heide pulling down some big boards, giving them second and third opportunities that they were able to pull out another win. Are they playing with fire? Are they living dangerously? Yes.
I saw.
Does it matter? I don't know.
They shot 17.4% last night from 3.
Yeah, not even
First
18.
time they won a Mountain West game by doing that shooting that poorly since 2020. 5 years.
Now they've got Boise State at home on Saturday, a team that they beat on the road. So you think, oh, they should be able to take care of business at home.
You can't think that anymore.
You know what I expect to happen? Fall behind in the first half. Look sloppy and out of sorts, and then have to come back in the second half. Because that's
the trend.
That's the MO.
Yeah.
And, until they fix it, that's what I'm going to expect now every game.
That is the trend. Yeah, man. A team, I guess you can things can change. If 4 of those 3-pointers go in, totally different first half, right? Just 4 out of 13, 5 out of 13. Yeah. If those go in, it's a totally different first half.
Game on the road, you're fine.
100%, right? Yeah. But when 0.0 of them go in, you, as a team, as a fan base, you absolutely start to panic. I mean, you chuck 13 shots up, dude, and not one of them falls. You start to panic a little bit, and they did, man. They were sloppy. Some of the just sloppy screens, really sloppy passes. Like, I saw effort because I always see effort from them. I don't see them coasting ever. They're always grinding, but it was like little kids, Ben. They were like, they'd get the ball and like.
There was one game all year when I don't remember who they were playing. I know Ben probably does. When Dutcher had to call a timeout, and he put all the bench players in early, and
to send a message.
Ferrari comes in and he's running like crazy.
Might have been the Wyoming game,
energy.
Yeah.
Like Dutcher was like, I have to switch this up because
you guys suck right now.
The starters weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Other than that, that was the only time all year where I was like, yeah, they're just not. They don't have the effort right now.
It is a frustrating watch.
She's a frustrating side piece, isn't she? She's a two-face.
I was taking a real hard look at UCSD again last night.
Man, he's really threatening to just walk away.
I do think they're the better team in town at the moment. Wow, they're the better team in town.
Yeah, your side piece. She slipped and fell, skinned up her knee, but came back and looked pretty good.
We got Don't Do This coming up next. Who do you pull for in a fight between two of your least favorite sports figures when they battle each other? We can talk about that coming up next.
Did you see my take on this yesterday on Twitter?
You thought it was fake.
I 100% think this is a staged bit.
You can explain when we come back and Don't Do This. First, SDFatLoss.com has extended their February Valentine's Day special through the rest of the month. So no reason not to set up your free consultation and start losing weight fast, safely, and sustainably with SDFatLoss.com. I lost 40 pounds in 60 days, and that's not a surprise. They tell you to expect 10 to 20% of your body weight to go off in 2 months. For me, that was exactly what happened. You can do it as well. It's up to a pound of fat per day by eating regular foods, things you like, things that you normally eat from the grocery store. For me, it was a lot of chicken and steak and vegetables. You can do you, though. They'll tell you how to do it with your counselor, with the support system that they put in place for you. And it's all without any injections, any hormones or drugs. I know that those are trendy right now, but if you want to actually lose weight, you can't stop taking them. They're expensive every single week for the rest of your life, essentially. Or you can just change your life like I did in 2 months and then be a different person. I've kept all the weight off. Take advantage, again, the Valentine's Day special of $200 off by setting up your free consultation at SDFatLoss.com. Join so many other Tier 1s who have lost hundreds, probably thousands of pounds at this point, San Diego. They can do it. You can do it as well at SDFatLoss.com. That's SDFatLoss.com. Don't do this. Brought to you by Trust and Will. Don't leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die. Do set up a Trust or Will online at trustandwill.com. It's a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info. Woods, Conspiracy Theory Woods, has got something for us.
Yeah. I was poking around on the internet yesterday, as I've been known to do from time to time, and I saw a video that emerged from, looks like Bourbon Street in New Orleans. And it's Pat Mahomes Sr., and he's on the street, and he is approached randomly by one John Rocker. Vile, racist turd John Rocker of Atlanta Braves fame.
Pat Mahomes Sr., multiple-time DUI offender, just got out of jail, I think. Three-peater.
He got the three-peat.
Does he have to pay Pat Riley for that?
His son did not, but he did get the three-peat. So they're in the street jawing at each other. And I watched the video, and I watched it again. You can't really hear what they say in said video, but they're jawing at each other. And again, Rocker just walks out of like a bar, and they happen to run into each other on the street. So I tweeted this. I said, Pat Mahomes Sr. and John Rocker soft launching an undercard on Jake Paul's next special. Book it. It looks completely staged, and Rocker is maybe the worst actor of all time. Potentially maybe the worst. Hey, what? What'd you say? He's lumbering around. And I go, these dudes are going to do a celebrity boxing match at some point. Then it spills over onto X, Twitter. They start jawing on Twitter. Oh, I should have knocked your ass out. Oh, you're a waste of space and a threat to society. Like, it seems so contrived. Like, it's one of the most contrived things I've ever seen. You know when they have, like, remember when they had Brett Favre in Something About Mary? And he walks in at the end, he's like, I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass. Like, you're like, you don't belong in this movie. Like, you're not, it doesn't feel right. You don't sound good. You don't look like you know what you're doing. That's how John Rocker felt.
I'm usually skeptical of your conspiracy theories. However, both of these guys seem to like their time in the spotlight. Oh, yeah. Both probably could use some extra cash.
Oh, yeah.
This could be a way to do it. It does have all the elements of a setup.
You just watch it.
Setup.
If you watch John Rocker in it, I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But I do expect them to, and I do expect this to carry on and end up maybe like a Barstool boxing event, if they still do that, or a Jake Paul Netflix special or something. I fully expect this to be a thing now.
Now, I guess I would call this a triple don't do this story coming out of also the Super Bowl. C.J. Gardner-Johnson of the Philadelphia Eagles took a shot after the game on social media. There was a shot of him, picture of him with Travis Kelce, and, you know, he's feeling it after the win, and he captioned it, said, should have stayed with that thick S, and then some asterisks after the S.
Paulie, do you hear that?
Oh, I heard it.
All right. Should have what?
So, should have stayed with that thick S, and that was apparently a reference to Kelce's ex, Kayla Nicole, and also considered a shot toward Taylor Swift. So,
Taylor Swift is not thick.
No, but she's the new girlfriend.
Right.
Should not have gone with Taylor Swift. So everybody gets offended. First of all, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, it was kind of unnecessary to do that after the game. So that's a don't do this. But then Taylor Swift's fans, the Swifties, as they're called, they get wind of this and they decide to take their revenge. But they don't take it on him. They take it out on his mom, who is a restaurateur. And they go to what they think is her restaurant's page, King's Grill in Cocoa, Florida. And they start, Village Beer Garden in Cocoa, Florida. And they start review bombing it. Like they start putting up fake one-star reviews to try to get people to not support. It's his mom's business. Like, that's her livelihood. That's not a great thing to do.
Why are you going after somebody's mother?
I know. I mean, it's family. It's not. She didn't post anything. But then the triple don't do this is that it turns out the review bombing was a different restaurant, and they own a whole different restaurant entirely. So
Oh, no.
I mean, not only did they review bomb, they apparently got the wrong restaurant as well.
Restaurant owner's like, what the heck?
What I do?
What is happening?
My Lord.
Hopefully Yelp can figure it out. It was flagged for unusual behavior when they got all the one-star reviews, so get that stuff sorted out. But quite the chain of events after one post following the Super Bowl.
She's got the Swifties. We've got the Tier 1s. The Tier 1s, they're pretty loyal. They would do that for us. I'm not going to ask you to do that, though. Please don't do that, in fact. You don't need to go leave one-star reviews for
don't do this.
Our competition. Unless you wanted to. But I would never encourage that. I think that's foul play.
That is bad.
I mean, well, I guess also like what I don't know.
What are our Yelp reviews?
I never want to look. I never.
Do we
look.
have like? Is
don't
there a
ask?
Because
now we're gonna have to do it.
Yelp us,
bro.
We're not a business.
I spent one day back.
You can Yelp us.
Oh, back in the 94.9 early days of the Mikey Show, I spent like a Friday reading the Yelp reviews. One guy told us, "I hope you guys die in a drunk driving accident."
Oh my God.
That's an odd. Don't look, dude. I'm telling you right now.
I'm just fascinated that this even exists.
Oh, God, here we go.
Yeah, I'm curious a little bit.
I don't know. Where do you go? What category do you even go?
You know
under
what they
for
say
Yelp?
about curiosity.
There it is.
Oh God.
What?
97 through the fan on Yelp.
Station.
No.
9 reviews.
Oh God.
2 stars.
Like the entire. We got a 2-star rating on Yelp.
I told you.
As a radio station.
All right, let's see. Patrick says the new morning show is horrible.
That's us.
We're not that new.
Well, it's old.
This is an old review,
right?
Well, you got to be
kind
careful.
of ruined morning sports radio for me.
That's from Patrick.
That's from Lewis. Used to be really good, but Ben and Woods shouldn't be running a sports show.
That's fair enough.
Should we offer them a free appetizer with their
Ben and
next
Woods is what keeps me
visit?
alive.
Oh yes.
Thanks
Who's
for
that?
the content, and for Paulie, this is new sports
That's
radio.
5 stars, right?
5 stars.
Five
We got a
stars,
5-star
nice.
from Robert. Says love the Ben and Woods show.
Oh, thank you.
I'll get to work an hour early just to sit in my car and listen.
You son of a bitch, Robert. I love you, dude. Thank you. This other one made my stomach hurt.
All right, final little doo-doo this.
DD mega doo-doo.
Bill Belichick is just continuing. Now, we all saw the appearance last week at it was an award show, ESPN maybe. What was it? NFL
It's
Awards.
the NFL Honors show. Yeah.
NFL Honors. Shows up on the red carpet with his, absolute smoke show of a girlfriend. Now, they have a 42-year age difference. And they seem to be very, very happy. They really do. They seem to be in love. His former quarterback, Tom Brady, sat down to do an interview, and clearly this broke him. I like when people get broken. When Ben breaks, it's one of my favorite things of all time. Breaking Tom Brady is pretty special.
Why is the guy interviewing wearing a bolo tie?
Check this out.
That's what he does.
Did Bill Belichick follow TB12? Nah. No, he's a big, carb guy. What about his girlfriend? She looks as young and healthy as ever. Sounds like it. I don't know. I don't follow it, too much. If Bill Belichick's girlfriend needed it, would you rent a car for her?
You don't hear him, but he loses it. He loses it.
He can't even speak, dude. If Bill Belichick's girlfriend needed you to rent a car for her, would you?
Because you have to be 25.
25. That's right. And he just holds it in. He's like, "You son of a gun, dude. You got me. You got me." I loved it. Made me laugh so hard, dude. So hard. What an irreverent, fun question. And I love that Tom Brady didn't get upset about it and just laughed it off. You gotta imagine if you're Bill Belichick, you know what's coming, and you don't mind. You don't mind it at all, not even a little bit.
When Tom Brady had his roast last year, though, he knew what was going to be being said, and I remember it was like the Jerry Jones. Obviously, the family stuff was off limits,
right,
in his mind, which kind of went without saying. But he said, "Don't make any massage parlor jokes." And somebody, I think it's Jeff Ross, somebody did, and he was like, "Cut that out."
Yeah, cut it out. Yeah, but that one...
He draws a line, and he'll stick with it.
That was pretty funny.
And that is don't and do this for a Wednesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We'll come back. MLB, I don't know if you care, but they do this every year. They've been counting down the top 100 players going into the season. Had a lot of Padres talk yesterday involving their top 100 countdown. We can get into a little bit of the, maybe incorrect opinions from Major League Baseball's League Network coming up next.
Well, listen, guys, it is Woodsy. Definitely do not go through 2025 with joint pain. You don't have to. QC Kinetics exists. Do give them a call today. The awful joint pain can impact everything in your life. You know what I'm talking about. It's hard to get out of bed some mornings. If you got bad knees, bad hips, bad shoulder, bad back, they can handle all of it for you. They really can. I love these guys. Changed my life completely when I went in and got treatment on both of my wrists. And, man, lifting weights, playing ball, doing all the things I love to do now. That's 100% thanks to QC Kinetics and their regenerative treatments. They're incredible. So don't wait. Make the call today. Talk to the local medical professionals. Talk about their new orthobiologic cellular therapies, including PRP treatments. They can revitalize your joints without going under the knife. Their treatments prompt your body to heal and restore those damaged joints so you won't miss a beat. No downtime. This joint pain that you may be feeling right now, it does not get better with time. So before it's absolutely debilitating and locks you out of doing stuff you love completely, make sure to call and see if you're a candidate for the life-changing regenerative treatments. Call QC Kinetics in Torrey Hills and Hillcrest for your free consultation. Their number is 619-614-PAIN, 619-614-PAIN, or go to QCkinetics.com. But if I were you, I'd pick up the phone today and call. Let them know I'm ready to be done with this. 619-614-PAIN. Let them know Woodsy sent you.
So apparently we're getting some new Yelp reviews in for 97.3 The Fan and Ben and Woods.
I don't know if they're good or bad, but thank you guys, or screw you guys. One of the two.
Well, for every 5-star review, you do get 10% off a slice of cheesecake from 97.3 The Fan.
You don't, actually. Nobody's getting any of our cheesecake. Our 97.3 The Fan cheesecake? No. No.
We don't share our 97.3 The Fan cheesecake.
No, I don't. I'm not a big read the reviews guy. I'm especially like on a. I kind of like to make my own judgments. Does that make sense?
Lewis says on Yelp, 2-star review just now.
Just now.
Ben is a Doyer lover. Keep Woods and Paul and shove Ben off to the side.
Wow.
Keep him quiet. Love the show. Tier 1 forever.
That's
over
a
here.
great idea.
I'll listen forever, even if Ben stays on.
It's
Empty
the worst.
threat. Empty threat.
It's the worst. All right, pack your stuff, dude.
See you later.
No, please don't leave.
I know.
I need you. I need you like plants need water.
We've really become fairly interdependent on each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, one of us leaves, we do tend to fall apart rather quickly.
There's no question. There's no question. So I need you. So please don't leave. I've never had any designs of making this show my own. Does that make sense? I've never had any designs of like, I could probably do this without him. I don't want to.
I heard a 7-year plan.
Yeah, my 7-year plan.
Know, the funny thing, I heard, so Braden and Scraby were filling in yesterday for Gwen and Chris, the Scraden show. They were trying to come up with a name for it.
It's better than Braby.
and they were kind of analyzing just the names of the shows. They hadn't really gone through this, and they realized, well, he said it used to be the Gwen and Chris show, and then it just became Gwen and Chris.
Gwen and Chris, yeah.
And then we're Ben and Woods, and then it's Annie and Elston. But every show has one first name and one last name in it.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Which is kind of unusual. It's not 2 first names. It's not 2 last names. It's all one first name.
It's not like Mike and Mike in the morning. It would
one
be
last
like,
name, yeah.
It would be like Mike and Greenberg is what they would do. You know what I mean?
And then Scraby talked about, well, why does Gwen come first? The answer seemed fairly obvious.
It's Gwen?
Gwen is Gwen, but it also, when you think about it, if you said Chris and Gwen, it sounds like Chris Gwynn, who is Tony's brother. So they said that didn't sound right. It didn't come off the tongue right. We actually had that debate when we were starting and had to pick a name for our show.
Yeah.
We weren't. I mean, we thought it's Woods and Steven, Ben and Steven, or Woods and Higgins, or Higgins and Woods. And eventually we just kind of settled on Ben and Woods. There was no fantastic reason for it. I think we just both thought it kind of sounds a little bit better than anything else.
Margie wants to know who's the most valuable. Ben of our show? Yeah, I'll give that to you.
I don't think that I think it's a truly ensemble kind of cast. Like you can't name it's like, LeBron or Luka now. Who's the most valuable? One will have a good game one day. One will have a good game the other day. But they're both equally valuable.
I think Paulie's the most valuable, period. Paulie keeps the train on the tracks. I don't want the credit.
He's like the Hall of Fame coach that like keeps everything together.
Keegan says, do you guys have a net worth? We do. It's $1,700 between us. Yes. Yeah. 7 years of work put in. We have a net worth of $1,700.
You often hear about Woods talking about paying off the credit card debt.
Correct.
I don't remember. I don't remember there being a whole lot of discussions about like the show name or anything.
Yeah. I've just always been Woods on the radio.
It was kind of just handed down to us, but like you think about there's other shows out and around the country. It's like their morning shows, like The Locker Room.
Yes.
Not even like names. It's like a generic.
Generic, like in Dallas, my favorite show is The Musers. They mused about sports, and then there was The Hard Line. They took The Hard Line. The only good thing about that is that if one of you dies or leaves, it just keeps going. You don't have to change the name and rebrand.
Yeah, that's true.
You can just be the whatever you guys, what would be a good one? I don't even know. I've never liked those per se, so they had them here too.
I'm kind of saying like I'm glad we didn't ever.
I'm glad we did too. Oh, yeah.
Because like 7 years in, you can't change
your morning taint. And then it just carries on forever. I see your mind working over there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to decide where I'm going next.
Twin Cities sports morning show is called The Power Trip. Not bad.
Foul territory, fair territory.
Yep. Yeah. Down the line. Welcome to Down the Line.
The warning track.
Welcome to the warning track.
It's the dugout.
Yeah, it's the dugout.
Ben, Woods, and Paul.
Yeah. I mean, these are all options.
Welcome to the bullpen.
So around the bases, in the bleachers.
So when one of us dies, it's over. Just so you know.
Unless you can find someone with the exact same name to replace them.
Him and Taylor just doing a morning show in here. Ben and Woods continues.
I'll set my sights on Tiger first.
Tiger.
When he turns me down.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to want to come do a local sports radio show in San Diego for 4 hours and a round table, I'm sure.
He wouldn't be nearly as entertaining as you.
He was not.
I have no doubt about that.
He's actually quite boring.
All right, this is a complete non-story, but given the fact that spring training technically hasn't even started yet, or still probably a few minutes away, you still have to fill some of these off-season nonsense stories and discuss random rankings of baseball players, including what MLB Network thinks of your San Diego Padres, and we'll get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Please don't make me preach to you guys about taking it extra carefully out there on our wet roads, especially on those transition ramps. This person found out the hard way. There's a spin out south outside of the 15 right at the King Freeway. People now facing the wrong way in the center divide. Also, kind of sucks to be this person on the Coronado Bridge heading over to the island just before the old toll plaza. There is a stalled pickup truck in that right lane. Westbound 8 for the 67. We got a jackknife big rig taking up the 2 right lanes. They've issued a traffic alert for that. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So MLB Network has been dropping their top 100 players over the last week or so, 20 at a time, counting them down. Just content filler as they get ready for the start of actual spring training coverage. And again, this is one network's opinion, an amalgamation of some of their analysts and what they think. But we came to the top 30 yesterday, numbers 29 through 20, and 3 Padres appeared on the list, which is not bad. I mean, think you got 3 of the top 30 players in baseball, all position players, right there on your roster. That's a good place to start building a team.
Sure.
When you got 3 of the top 30. Think of if they divided them up evenly, 30 teams, and everybody had like an equal amount of talent, you should only have one top 30 player on your team.
Makes sense.
You have one from 30 to 60, one from 60 to 90.
Who did this again?
MLB Network.
MLB Network.
Yeah. So Padres have 3 in the top 30. Now, they're all here in the 20s, but I thought it was interesting because the first one revealed was Manny Machado at number 29.
Okay.
It's definitely not an insult to be called one of the top 30 players in baseball.
Nope.
Again, that means you're in the top percent, you could be the best player on any given team if you're a top 30 player in baseball.
Sure.
And then they got to number 24, where they named Jackson Merrill, already in the top 25 of players in baseball. And then quickly,
this is Jackson Merrill.
And then quickly, Fernando Tatis Jr. came in at number 22. And
it's Fernando Tatis Jr.
Hi, the first thing I thought, just quickly, just as a Padres fan, was that's interesting. They already have Jackson Merrill ahead of Manny Machado after his first season. This is Manny Machado. And I wanted to get your thoughts on whether you agree, disagree, strongly disagree with the take that Jackson Merrill has already passed Manny Machado in terms of top players in baseball.
No. I mean, this is a question?
Apparently it is.
He's got 1 year on the wall. He's got
I kind of feel the way you do.
He's got one skin on the wall, man. He's been one of the most consistent players in baseball for a decade. So
now, if you're asking me who do I want to bet on for the next 10 years, well, obviously with age, it's Jackson, but I don't believe that really factors in. They're not, it's not value of contract. It's just
what's the criteria here.
It's just ranking best players. They're just ranking their best players in baseball right now.
I mean, I love them both.
From 100 to Shohei Ohtani, assumingly, when they get to number 1.
I love them both. I would take a bullet for both of them. Not a bullet. I'd take a punch for both of them. But I don't think you could say I'm gonna tell Manny this, and I'm gonna ask Manny about his reaction to that when we go to spring training. So, what did you think? Prolific says, answer the question. I did. I said I think that those numbers are off. I'd flip them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to rank Jackson Merrill, 29, but I think Manny still still belongs ahead of Jackson on the list.
Sure.
And you're not giving Manny enough credit for what he does there by putting him. Now, is very excited about Jackson Merrill, and would
100,000%.
love to see him continue to move up the list. But after one season to go from not on the list at all,
yeah, dude,
to
24
is pretty nuts. And then at number 22. I get it. I understand that Fernando Tatis Jr. has dealt with injuries the last few years, and we haven't seen him at full power necessarily, but that feels way too low. I dare you to come up with 21 baseball players who you are convinced are better than Fernando Tatis Jr. at playing this sport, because I don't think you can come up with not even close to 21 players who are better than Fernando Tatis Jr. And I think if you ask baseball players, they would also say, I cannot come up with 21 guys who I think are better than Fernando Tatis Jr. at playing this game.
Yeah, I don't think so either, man. But that's fine. Again, I say this every year. I'm going to say it every year that we're on. Don't care about these. I don't care really about the power rankings before a game's been played, before a pitch has been thrown. We all have our ideas of what we think about where this team will be. I don't feel any of those numbers are disrespectful at all. If I'm Fernando Tatis Jr., I read that and I go, good. I like to be slept on. I always have. And I think there's a lot of guys on this team that are wired the same way. They like to be slept on. They like to be, and I think a lot of athletes, what do they all talk about? Everybody needs some motivation. They all talk about it. Speaking of motivation, I saw a clip the other day with Dustin Pedroia. And did you know this, Benny? So he got a call from a Padres scout when he was leaving Arizona State for the draft. Padres scout came, said, hey, man, we love you. We love you. Like, you're the best player in the country. And he says he thinks they had the first pick in the draft, but I'm not sure what year it was. We'd have to double check. But he said,
it might have been the year they had the third pick.
Maybe
I don't
the
know
third
if they
pick?
had the first pick then. But
So he says to him, a Padre scout says, we would take you, but you're 3 inches too short. And Dustin Pedroia goes, excuse me, sir, do you mean to tell me? And he does this, Ben. He goes like this. Do you mean to tell me if I was this much taller, you would draft me first overall? And he goes, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. And Dustin Pedroia was like, okay.
They did have the first pick. That was the year 2004.
Okay. There you go.
That they took Matt Bush with the first pick overall.
God.
And so
one ahead of Justin Verlander.
Yes. And where did Pedroia go?
65th to the Boston Red Sox in the end of the second round. 65th pick, supplemental to the Boston Red Sox.
Crazy, right? And he goes, so you're telling me if I was this much taller, you would take me this much? And the guy goes, yeah. He goes, you'd call your boss and tell him we love him. He's the best player in the country. We're not drafting him because of this. And the scout said, yeah, that's absolutely right. And he goes, okay. And he kind of decided right then and there, I'm going to be better than everyone. I'm going to be better than every single one, and everyone that slept on me is going to rue the day. And they absolutely did. I mean, at 65, Ben, what a steal Dustin Pedroia was for the Boston Red Sox. But all of these athletes use things like that. Yes, Fernando Tatis probably saw he was 22nd and went, okay, really? Let's see what I can do when I'm healthy. I'm sure Manny Machado said, okay, Jackson Merrill's a better player than me. We'll see. I love it. I think every player needs it. They use it. And those are some of my favorite stories.
It is funny. I mean, you think of Matt Bush, obviously, as being one of the worst draft mistakes the Padres have ever made, but it's crazy how many guys don't make it. I mean, number 5 pick overall, Mark Rogers.
I've never heard of
the Milwaukee Brewers. Who?
Who else?
Number 10 pick for the Texas Rangers, Thomas Diamond.
Ooh, I think I remember him.
You remember him?
Was he a pitcher?
He was a right-handed pitcher. Very good.
They had Diamond, Volquez, and Danks, I think, were the three. It was their DVD, they called it. And all these guys were supposed to be like the next Maddox and Smoltz and Glass.
Do you remember Greg Golson, center fielder taken by the Philadelphia Phillies?
I do not.
One spot after Trevor Plouffe went to the Minnesota Twins.
I do not remember that.
Taylor Tankersley. I feel like he ended up in the Padres at some point.
I think that was Dennis
Marlins.
Tankersley,
Maybe
wasn't
it was Dennis Tankersley.
Dennis,
his brother?
Hey, guys, we got Dennis Eckersley. No, we didn't. We got Dennis Tankersley. It's fantastic. Yeah, Edison Volquez was a Padre as well. Wow.
Justin Orenduff to the L.A. Dodgers.
Incredible.
Yeah, you know.
I love it,
man. Don't go anywhere.
I did not. I mean, I had no idea the Padres were in on Dustin Pedroia back then and could have had him. And imagine that franchise-altering draft pick. And Verlander, obviously, but Dustin Pedroia in a Padres uniform would have been pretty nasty.
Should have been just a little bit
taller. A little bit taller.
Could have gone number 1 overall.
3 inches.
Instead, 65.
Yeah.
To the Boston Red Sox.
Crazy.
Height is not really a thing in baseball.
It's
That's
not
weird.
But the guy said, I can justify it. I can justify not taking you because of your size. That's it.
I mean, if it's basketball, yes. Okay. Hey, you'd be a top draft pick if you were 3 inches taller. I get it. In baseball, I don't know.
But with the first pick, what did you draft? A 5'6" second baseman out of Arizona State? The guy's 5'6" or whatever.
It's Dustin Pedroia.
Dustin Pedroia. I know. It's crazy.
All right, we've got 2 hours still to go. We'll come back, take on Woods in our 8 o'clock hour, and more Padres talk ahead on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we're halfway home on a Wednesday. Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. Lovely to be here with you on a kind of cold and dreary San Diego morning, but definitely needed the rain. It's coming. Slick out there. Be very careful. We need you guys. Even you haters, we need you too, because I know you listen real good, a lot. You listen a lot.
The haters may listen more than
I think
the
they
lovers.
do. I think they do. I really do. If you love a show, you're like, I can miss it and go back and catch up on it. The haters listen every day to get something to get mad about, right? I don't operate that way. A lot of people do. I don't listen to things or watch things that I hate. It has never made sense to me, ever. If I don't like you or your show or your entertainment product or your band, I'm not listening to it and be like, God, yeah, let me reinforce how bad this sucks by listening to it.
I think you have to be careful, though. You don't want to end up in an echo chamber. You know what I mean?
Who?
Well, when you become a person who only listens to people you agree with, like, all the time. Like, hey, I got this guy, and I agree with him 100%. Sometimes you should listen to people with differing opinions who challenge you.
I do. I have friends that have differing opinions. I have a ton of friends with differing opinions.
I'm not saying you do that, but I'm just saying be careful when you say, I don't want to listen to someone who's going to, make me mad or say things that upset me. Because sometimes there's growth there.
Yeah, no question. That I have no problem with. I mean, I have zero problem with self-reflection, with, oh, wow, did I do that? I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I have no problem with that. But, like, if I don't like your show, like, I don't want to, like, throw anybody under the bus here, but Jeff and Jer had a huge radio career in San Diego. Massive, legendary. It ain't for me. Show's not for me. So I didn't listen, There's been other sports radio shows that don't tickle my fancy. So I just don't listen. I don't listen to hate on it. I don't listen for them to say something that's going to piss me off. So as far as when I'm being we are an entertainment show. That's what we are. We try to entertain people in the morning and inform them and have some fun and break balls and all that. That's what I love to do. But I get it. It's not for everyone. It doesn't have to be. But I wouldn't listen to it if I didn't like it. Does that make sense? The last thing I would do is tune into a radio show in the morning on my way to work when I'm facing down the barrel of a 10-hour day.
Why do you think that they don't like us? Just because they constantly criticize us and belittle us
read the latest,
insult us?
Read the latest review.
That's what they say, but...
read it.
The bad one?
Yeah, read it.
All right.
And read his name. Put his name on it. Say it with your chest. Alfredo.
It's funny because once we mentioned Yelp, we've gotten like 30 reviews since. I was kind of reading these during the break, and I was like starting to read this one. I'm like, ooh, you do not want to hear this one.
Well, that means I have to hear it.
And that meant you had to hear it. Yeah, Alfredo from San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco.
Says 1-star review.
Okay.
It's too bad. He says, morning radio is ridiculous.
Okay.
It should be called The Woods Talking About His Dumbass Kids and Whore Wife Show.
It's always fun to see.
Hannah taking strays.
Have to listen to Tony and Chris to get sports news.
Okay. I feel like that's going to be a rap that we get forever, and it's my fault that we just don't talk sports in here, which we absolutely do. But I think that's a little bit over the line, right?
Yes.
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of things I would call my wife, that's not one of them. Out of all the things that you could call her, that ain't her. Okay?
I don't think I need to follow up. I always want to ask follow-up questions, but I'm not going to even ask a follow-up question.
I mean, you can fire away.
I mean, what would be a more appropriate thing to call her if you were Alfredo?
You can just say wife. Why would you throw that in there? Does he know something I don't know? This is what I'm asking. Because
he's trying to be mean, obviously.
He is, but I don't categorize that.
I mean, listen to Woods talk about his kids and his lovely wife doesn't have the same stinging ring to it.
You got to throw dumbass kids and
lovely wife.
Right.
Just you need something to, make the insult really land at the end.
So wild to me. Alfredo, you're clearly damaged. You're clearly broken inside. Find me. Let's talk about it. I'll call you. I'll call you today.
I just
DM me your number. I will call you on the telephone. We can have a chat. And I'm not going to be a jerk. I want to legit know.
It is the funniest thing, though, because this whole segment started on the hate listeners versus the people that love this show. Clearly, Alfredo is a hate listener.
Big time.
But he had to have been listening for us to mention Yelp reviews.
To go right
He's
to Yelp.
been listening
He's been
for 2 hours and 7 minutes. And I promise you he's listening right now.
Ultimately, actions speak louder than words. And your words say, I don't think the show is very good, and I don't like Woods, and I don't like his choice of topics. Right. But your actions, which are listening to the show, indicate...
Say otherwise.
Otherwise. Because there are other options. If you wanted, there are other shows you could listen to.
100%.
And you're telling us that as much as you hate and despise listening to us, you still prefer listening to us than all the other options of radio, podcasts,
Bro, it's not
music, whatever you can listen to.
It's not even your AM, FM radio. You got one of these, you have a billion different things you can listen to.
We have finished number 1 out of your choice of a billion listening options right now.
Yeah.
Think of every song on Spotify and Apple Music.
It's crazy.
Think of every podcast that's ever existed.
It's crazy when you think about it.
Sirius XM show, whatever.
You can drive to work, watch YouTube videos of old Johnny Carson shows. You know what I mean? There's everything.
My man chose us for 2 hours this morning.
Well, listen, Alfredo, I too have been mad and broken in my life many times. Never to say anything like that about a stranger, but my heart goes out to you. It really does, because that's a bummer of a comment to read. But that's kind of been, it comes in waves. And I did actually want to thank the tier 1s for a lot of messages I got yesterday, a ton, based on a post my wife made on social media. Got a couple of pretty gnarly messages and kind of forced her off the platform. And she didn't even really want to talk about it when I got home yesterday. But the messages that I got yesterday were beautiful, stunning. And, those are the ones I'd like to focus on. Those were the really, really nice and kind ones. So thank you to all the tier 1s out there.
And I think it's important to remember, and this isn't just for us, but it is good to have it in your mind, Woods especially, but this is for everybody out there. There are way more lovers than haters out there.
That's true.
You hear the haters. They're hard to ignore.
Yeah.
My social media feed was filled with Dodger fans hating the last couple of days. And, even I kind of every once in a while wince. Like, it's not fun to be the subject of so much scorn. But I always remembered. But I promise you, I know there's way more people out there who support me and have my back.
Sure.
I'm just reading the ones right now that are criticizing and being mean.
This is the interesting one. And I've always had, I don't know if it's a problem, but this has always been my personality. And Jeffrey says it in the chat. You do feed the trolls, though. Chat and show both. 100%. I always will. I like to call it out. I like to have fun with it. I like to get it out there. If it's out there, right, it's fair game, right? If you put it out there, I have license to talk about it. And sometimes I think it's funny. Sometimes I think it's hurtful. Sometimes I think it's ridiculous. But yeah, I will always do it. I will always feed the trolls. Because again, like, we come from a time where you didn't just get to walk up to somebody and go, "Hey, your wife's a whore," and walk away, right? But that's not okay. That's not okay. And I think, again, I had one dude that was pounding me. And I've flipped a few of them over the years, certainly. But, I do find it interesting to feed them, mostly because I was an English major, but if I had to go back and do it again, I would have been a sociology major. The human condition fascinates me to no end. And again, I've said it a million times. To go on to a show that I don't like, to go into their feed or something and like start insulting people, I'm fascinated by it.
Now, this is going to be a never-ending cycle, because I see in our chat everybody's dumping on Alfredo right now, and I understand that. But let's be better. Let's forgive Alfredo.
Yeah, I forgive.
And let's understand that he might be going through some stuff right now, and he's just, he's channeling in a safe way over the internet some emotion that he needs to get out, and he's directing it toward
my wife.
you and your wife,
who are,
but you're kind of at arm's length.
Yeah.
It's not directing it at his own kids or his own wife or his own boss or whatever he's really frustrated with. You're kind of a safe way for him to channel that out. And if he needed to do that, that's fine. Let's forgive him and appreciate the time that he spent listening to the show this morning.
Jerry Seinfeld in the chat said, "What's the deal with Alfredo?" I found that very amusing. I love it. So yeah, Alfredo, you know where I'm at on social media. Find me, shoot me your number. I'll call you today. We'll chat. You can curse me out.
You can forgive him.
100%. I hold no. Well, no, I can't say that. I was going to say I hold no ill will toward any man. That's not true. That's a bold-faced lie. I actually do have a lot of ill will towards people, but Alfredo, I don't know who he is.
But don't hold it for people who just throw out random comments on the internet.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's get
great call on the Yelp reviews today, guys. Super fun. I told you not to do it. You did it. You did it anyway. I told you. You don't. Hey, I'm gonna walk into this swamp with a stake tied around my neck. Hopefully, there's no alligators here to rip my throat out. Great idea. I'm gonna dive into the ocean in a blood suit. Well, I don't know what happened. I got eaten alive. Go figure. I told you. I warned you both. Don't do it. What do you guys have to do? You go and look.
Oh.
Bastards.
Alfredo,
now I had to take my sweatshirt off because I'm sweating.
If you'd like to play Take on Woods right now, this would be...
I will wax the floor with you.
Great time to challenge him. You got a chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. Even Alfredo, you are eligible like everybody else. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Get on the line now. We'll play our music trivia challenge, which probably irritates Alfredo to no end because it's not sports talk. Coming up next here on 97.3 The Fan, After Traffic with Kelly and Woods. See from Zachary in our chat that our Yelp rating has increased from 2 to 3.5 already in the last 30 minutes.
You're welcome,
just based
Adam.
on the conversation.
I wonder how much money we get.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, think about that. I mean, that's going from 2 stars, like Subway at the airport, to 3.5, which is fine. Like Paulie said, like Red Robin or something. Some distance. Yeah, but it's good.
Chili's, Red Robin.
By the way, who takes the time to review Subway at the airport?
My whore wife does. She's the one that absolutely does it.
My cold cut combo wasn't quite as freshly prepared as I'm accustomed to at my Subway at the airport. So 2-star review.
Yeah, she will review. I'm like, what are you sending? Review. I'm like, stop, please. What are you expecting? It's the Subway at the airport. You don't have to. She is. So before we get to Take on Woods quickly, I walked in last night after practice, and she had ordered some dinner for us. Place that we enjoy, Fish District. I would give it a very high Yelp review if I did that. My dinner's on the table. The kids' dinner's on the table. She's hovering over her salad with her phone, and I go, "What are you doing? You're off social media. I know you're not posting a picture of your salad." She goes, "I'm on hold with customer service." I go, "From DoorDash?" She goes, "Yes." I said, "For what?" She goes, "There's a hair in my salad, so I had to take a picture and send it." So it's like, here we go.
All right, this is something that bothers me a little bit. Obviously, it's gross. You don't want to have someone else's hair in your food. But I've got to imagine that 99.9% of the time, it's just an accident. It doesn't mean that anyone was being hygienic.
Unless it was Alfredo. If Alfredo works there.
Didn't do it there in person. It's the world. Sometimes stray hairs blow around.
Yeah.
Do you expect every single person
to be hairless?
To be hairless and pick through your entire salad just to make sure a hair didn't get in there? I don't want you doing that either. It's
honestly, is this weird to say?
It's gonna happen every once in a while. Deal with it.
If it was a blonde hair, I would be fine. If it was a dark black hair, I couldn't eat it. If it was like a long, stringy black hair, I'd be like, I don't know, it came from a witch. I can't do this. I'm married to a blonde. I'd be like, I'm probably okay with this. It's weird.
And if it was short and curly,
I would definitely pass.
Really be
definitely.
All right. With that being said, let's get to a little Take on Woods. We got Angela calling in as our contestant today for Take on Woods. Good morning, Angela. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
We're really good. We're really good. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for playing. And if you can beat or tie Woods in our 5 questions of musical trivia, we'll put you into our grand prize drawing for the 2 nights in Las Vegas at the Park MGM and tickets to the Motley Crue Las Vegas residency at Dolby Live, March 28th to April 19th. You'll also get the 2-night stay, 2 tickets to the show, and you can get your own tickets at Ticketmaster.com. All right. I assume you know how the game works, Angela?
I sure do.
All right, then let's get to the categories. Here are your choices. We've got Article Sound System. That is 5 songs that have the word sound in the title, or bands. We have Straight Talk, 5 song titles that begin with the word straight. And we have Rhyme Time, Band Edition. Those are 5 bands with rhymes in their names. So, Article Sound System, Straight Talk, or Rhyme Time, Band Edition. Angela?
Let's do Rhyme Time.
Rhyme Time, new category today. Okay, again, we've got 5 different bands, and they all have rhymes somewhere in their name. We will have 60 seconds to answer as many of the 5. If you don't know one, say pass. We'll come back to it. First question's the 2-second song. You have to give me the song title and that band with the rhyme in their name to score that point. Angela, are you ready to play? Oh, we were so close. Angela, you still there? We lost you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Wow. We were right there at the
Angela.
last moment. Angela.
I'm here.
Oh, there she
there
is.
we are.
Oh, okay, we lost you for
I'm
a second. Count to 5 for me. I want to make sure you're still there.
1.
That's not a good sign. We got to 1, and then she disappeared.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, she's there again.
All right.
What do you think, Paulie? Do we trust this? Do we want to have her
I'm
call?
here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There, all right. You
All
made it
right.
to 5.
You
All right.
passed.
60 seconds on the clock. Category is Rhyme Time, Band Edition. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Angela. Let's take on Woods.
Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Correct. Danny Elfman formed which Southern California new wave band in 1979?
Boingo Boingo.
Correct. Whenever it comes on as bumper music, I'm not allowed to speak for the first 35 seconds of which band's hit Black Betty?
Pass.
Which heavy metal band's two biggest hits are both covers of songs by the English glam rock band Slade?
Quite right.
Correct. Perfect Way is the biggest U.S. hit for which English band formed by Green Gartside in 1977?
Pass.
Whenever it comes on as bumper music, I'm not allowed to speak for the first 35 seconds of which band's hit Black Betty? Oh, I know Woods is going to get that one. You got 3 of 5. You got Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Oingo Boingo, and Quiet Riot. You didn't get Ram Jam. That's Black Betty. And Screedy Politi is the Green Gartside band. I don't know. I think Woods is going to do well on this one. Hang on line, though, Angela. We'll get back to you. Stay there. All right, we had a little phone trouble, but Angela came through. Her score is locked in. Woods, let's put 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Angela.
Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Correct. Danny Elfman formed which Southern California new wave band?
Boingo Boingo.
Correct. Whenever it comes on as bumper music, I'm not allowed to speak for the first 35 seconds of which band's hit Black Betty?
Ram Jam.
Correct. Which heavy metal band's two biggest hits are both covers of songs by the English glam rock band Slade?
Quiet Riot.
Correct. Perfect Way is the biggest U.S. hit for which English band formed by Green Gartside in 1977?
Read it again.
Perfect Way is the biggest U.S. hit for which English band formed by Green Gartside in 1977?
What is the category?
What is the category?
World Party.
No, because that doesn't rhyme. Rhyme time is the category. Tears for Fears, Oingo Boingo, Ram Jam, Quiet Riot,
and
Screedy
Politi.
Politi. Angela, sorry though, you still fell 4-3 to Woods. But thank you for playing.
That's okay.
All right. That's all right. Yeah, that's something else you wanted to say. You told Paulie.
I actually did. Woods, I raised my children. We didn't have glitz and glam. And, you know, I was a single mom. I did the best that I could. And a couple months ago, both of my children made the decision to stop talking to my husband and I.
Oof.
And you never know anybody's life and what they experience. And this is the most devastating thing we've ever been through.
Sure.
So I don't give a damn what their life is like. You don't know what they live. And to all those people that gave your wife the hardest time, they can all go straight to you nowhere because they don't know what somebody's going through behind closed doors.
Thank you so much.
You could have just missed one more so she could have qualified for the trip to Las Vegas.
Bro, she can have it.
Gracious.
Oh, she's going to get me, man. She is going to get me. I'm so sorry what you guys are going through. I hope it all works out for you eventually. You know, it's heartbreaking, but thank you so much for those kind words for my missus. I know she appreciates it very much.
Thank you, Angela.
This is actually Angela Bullpen Babe and my husband's Roy.
Oh, sweetheart. It's good to talk to you. Good to talk to you. So sorry.
It's nice to talk to you.
Hey, well,
I'm so excited that I got to take you on, though.
that was amazing. Well done. 3 is that's your
solid score.
You're no slouch with
you're
3.
like Red Robin. You're no Subway.
Yeah, you're no Subway
airport. The Subway at the airport.
No.
Thank you so much, Angela. Good to talk to you, my dear.
Guys.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that got powerful and emotional.
It very much did. She got me.
All right, we'll come back. Get back to some Padres talk. They are now on the fields at spring training. Can you believe it?
Oh boy!
It is time. It is happening.
Here we go.
It is happening, everybody. Can't wait. Season 6 weeks away here on 97.3, The Fan.
Yeah, guys, wanted to tell you about Underdog real quick. This basketball season, when your favorite stars score some buckets Underdog will alley-oop you to an opportunity to win money from just watching sports with Underdog, playing daily fantasy, choosing higher or lower. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps. You can play it now in your state. All you got to do, choose whether a player will go higher or lower with one of their stats: points, assists, rebounds. You can do turnovers, things like that as well. They got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. You got golf going on. You got the NBA going on right now. You got college basketball going on. And, of course, right around the corner, my friends, you've got baseball. Baseball's going to be back. I may break the Underdog app during baseball season. I'm going to have so much fun with it. So you want to do it too? Download the Underdog app, sign in using the promo code WOODS, unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with the promo code WOODS. Claim your special offer today. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit. You must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona and Massachusetts, present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply, void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. If you're in Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. If you're in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Now, I'm just using my imagination, but I'm picturing, maybe Michael King is throwing off flat ground at the moment.
Yeah.
Yu Darvish might be on the mound in one of the bullpens. Got all the catchers in their gear, working with some of the bullpen guys at the moment. Padres are on the field.
They're there, man.
In Peoria, Arizona, right now.
It's actually happening.
Sammy Levitt's covering it, and we'll have daily updates throughout the day here on 97.3 The Fan.
I've got FOMO, I'll tell you.
A little bit, yeah.
I do.
It's the first couple days.
I know.
Yeah.
I know we've never gone for just pitchers and catchers. We've always gone for spring training. And even this year, I feel like we're going a little bit late for us, but it's not as easy as you would think. Just show up and start ripping interviews. They've got so much crap to sift through. It's not just wake up, go out and play baseball. They've got pictures, and they've got to do all the scoreboard
all the
graphics.
In between at bat videos.
Yeah,
like,
think about,
production is gnarly.
You could go to a game in August, and there's a bit on the big jumbotron in between innings where Michael King is playing some sort of game. You know where they recorded that?
Spring
training in the first week. That's they all get in the room and they do 17 of them in a row.
MLB The Show is there.
Yes.
And they got to do things with guys.
So we've
Rawlings
gone
and Nike shows up.
We've gone out there before, and I remember one time we were out there. They're like, "Hey, they've got pictures today." So we sat and we were like,
No, we didn't go.
Oh, we didn't go.
We did a show
from the house.
We were there for 4 days,
right.
but we only did 3 shows from the complex because they're like, there's 0 player availability. Like, you can show up.
You can come here and
but
sit.
it's going to be a waste of your time. We said, all right, we'll just do it from
the
home.
house.
So we did it from the living room, and Bob Scanlon
came over. It was the best.
You think of picture day. Does that take 5 minutes? No. They've got green screens. They filter them through.
Green screens?
Green screens,
Oh,
not Paul
I
Skeens.
love Paul
Green
Skeens.
screens. And
I love Paul
They
Skeens.
filter them through many different stations. They got to get all kinds of shots, video shots, still shots, everything that they need for all the promotional material, pretty much for the entire season.
It's actually
is done right now at spring training.
It's the stuff that I would hate the most. I would piss and moan about it every day.
Think about being at a game. Like, they have those random B-roll shots of a guy looking up slowly. Like,
where do they get that?
All right,
now turn from left to right.
To the side?
Yeah.
Okay, now the other side?
They got to do all of that.
It would make me insane. I mean, it really would. I hate stuff like that. It would drive me crazy.
It's like when,
And I never look good in pictures anyway. So
at a normal person's job, we have to do training modules.
Yeah.
This is their training modules that even baseball players have to do stuff like that. And it usually comes here in the first days of spring training.
Yeah. So that's the deal. So I don't have too much FOMO today, but it is just great to have it back. And, you'll turn on ESPN or maybe MLB Network, and they'll be showing scenes from around the Cactus League and scenes from around, out in Florida. It's going to be, it's back.
I try not to get too worked up about, national takes, because national takes about your team always feel
personal,
a little thin.
And they're never right.
And you just don't know enough about our team. And I don't blame them. I mean, as knowledgeable as great hosts are, you can't know all 30 teams in and out. So anytime a national person says something, now, there are exceptions. Jeff Passan's going to get scoops that are relevant to Padres fans. But when you're opining about the Padres, do you really know the team as well as even an average fan in that town? I don't know.
Well, all you have to do is listen to an ESPN Sunday night broadcast. And again, I have nothing against any of those guys personally. Ravage is good at his job. I love David Cohn. I adore him. And Eduardo Perez, I can go either way. But they start coming in town. They start spitting these narratives. You go, no, that's not close. No. That's not even near what's actually going on. And so, it does feel like sometimes they haven't done their homework on a Sunday night broadcast. But when it's MLB Network, Ben, it just feels a little different.
And we've got some audio for you. Harold Reynolds, who seems to he's either misguided or is just, I don't know if it's ill-informed is the right word. Well, we're going to check traffic, and then when we come back, we're going to play the Harold Reynolds audio and video about the San Diego Padres and his take on what's going on right now. Next here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
For the most part, folks are doing a pretty good job of navigating our wet roadways. That one spin out did clear up on the transition ramp northbound 5 to the East 8 connector. Stalled vehicle on South 805 before the 8. That is now over to the right shoulder. Yes, please continue to take it extra carefully out there, guys, and have those headlights on so you're more visible to other drivers. And brace yourself. This afternoon's commute could be a real challenge. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
They're not close to being the team they were the last 3 years.
Those subtractions are significant, and one that probably doesn't get talked about, Kyle Higashioka.
Yeah.
I thought he found the power stroke last year. He got consistent opportunities behind the plate and getting consistent ABs. So I just hope that the Padres can keep the momentum going. I hope that they can find a way to hang with the Dodgers a little bit, to push them. But that's a tough division, and it's a tall order.
I think we'll see Cease and King traded in the spring.
What?
I just think they're on a different teardown, and it's sad to see because they were really right there knocking on the door with the Dodgers. They had that amazing run. You think about the Bryce Harper home run; they were that close to going to a World Series. I just to see where they're headed now. It's disheartening.
Yeah, it's a great park. I love the energy at those home games in Petco. It comes through the TV when you're watching. So I always root for the Padres because I think it's a great atmosphere and a great ballpark.
Well, to your point, H, that whole rotation, all 5 guys were acquired via trade. So obviously head on a swivel with A.J. Preller out there. Any of them could be out the door. We know how they've operated over the years.
They got to replenish the minor league system, right? So they'll take those 2 guys. Think about the trades they made in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And all the minor leaguers that have gone out the door. All we got to do is look at the Nationals, and those are the Padres players. But they're going to replenish it, I think, with those guys, and they'll continue to keep this thing going, but they're going to be rebuilding this year, I think.
Wow. I mean, we're pitchers and catchers reporting today, not saying that Dylan Cease and Michael King can't still be traded, obviously. I think there's a handful of guys in Major League Baseball that can't be traded right now, but those 2 names that he mentioned, and then, Ben, you have to throw in Tatis that he mentioned last week that we should trade, get rid of now, which is absurd.
Teardown is an interesting word.
Yeah, and look, Curtis just says, everyone thought the Brewers were going to be mediocre going into last year. They had a great year. Why not us? Well, they play in the Central, so that's always a positive. But number 2, everybody thought the Padres were going to be mediocre last year, including myself. Right?
It's okay to have the take that you don't believe in the Padres or you don't think they're going to be that good.
Sure.
What bothers me about what Harold Reynolds had to say is it's fueling what is a narrative that really isn't supported by any facts.
Correct.
Yes, the Padres did not add to their payroll significantly this offseason by keeping a couple of their players like Jurickson Profar and Kyle Higashioka and Ha-Seong Kim.
Do you have the list of the other 20 teams, 25 teams in baseball that also did not add significantly?
But they have not actively subtracted a single player from their roster this offseason. They have not traded. They have not traded anybody away at all. Not even one. I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't made a single move. But their actions are not the actions of a team that is trying to rebuild.
Correct.
The other problem with that is, and Harold should know this, is the Padres are in no position to start a rebuild right now.
None.
They have
whatsoever.
Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jake Cronenworth, all locked up to massive deals, and they're not likely going anywhere.
We have 5 years of control of Jackson Merrill.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Jackson Merrill is just starting what should be an incredible career. You have this great nucleus still. It may be difficult to, fill in around the edges at the moment for the team, but to me that's just temporary until you can. Until A.J. Preller can figure out a way, but his goal is going to continue to be put the best stuff you can around your nucleus. And yes, this year it's been much tougher than in some other years because he hasn't had a blank checkbook to go out and spend on those guys. But it hasn't changed the fundamental nature of what the Padres are, and that is a team that is absolutely trying to win the best way that they can at the moment.
I do watch a fair amount of MLB Network, and I don't hear this about certain other teams, and I was thinking about it, Ben. Is there another team remotely like the San Diego Padres right now that you can think of off the top of your head?
In what way?
Well, okay, so
built
the way that the Padres are built. I don't think we're one of I don't think we're one of one in Major League Baseball with some of the contracts we've committed to, with some of the guys that are on expiring deals. It's fairly standard in a lot of organizations. That being said, last year in July, when they were around 500, you had the same network and most of the same suspects saying, tear it down. Brian Kenny was all in favor of a tear down last July. I don't think it's a conspiracy. All right,
I've got a team for you
that
I think is the most Padres-like, and you'll probably push back. I think the Texas Rangers are the most Padres-like team. They have some big money stars.
Marcus Semien.
Corey Seager. Pitching-wise, they spent a lot of money on, Jacob deGrom, guys who haven't really contributed because of injury, but they are locked up with some big. They just re-signed Nathan Eovaldi, so they have some big money guys. They also have some younger guys who, are contributing and trying to contribute. Now last season they had their bad season.
What about the Phillies?
But 2 years ago they had a really good season. They actually won the World Series with their good season.
Yeah, that's true. And so they've got a World Series, so they've got a little bit of leeway in their eyes.
But in terms of the roster construction, I would say the Rangers to me are kind of the most Padre-like team out there right now.
I think, as Roberto points out in the chat, I think the Phillies is a good one as well. They're committed long term to guys like Bryce Harper, and he's a great player, certainly. They're committed to Trey Turner. Nick Castellanos, I believe he was on the trade block, but he's still there. Kyle Schwarber. I mean, their team, their core is essentially the same, and they haven't added a ton. Curtis says the Toronto Blue Jays. Yeah, kind of another team like that.
I don't think there's, a lot of their guys are expiring.
Yes.
The Blue Jays,
yeah.
They're not
locked
long-term
up.
locked in.
Dante and Vladdy are expiring.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Phillies is that's a pretty good comp as well as the Rangers. But again, with the Rangers, they just won a World Series, so you do get that leeway.
They did, but that doesn't fundamentally change what you are as a team.
No, it doesn't.
It's nice to have that ring. We would all feel differently, but the team would be the same. If the Padres had won the World Series last year and then had the exact same offseason this year, which I believe would probably have happened.
Been similar, yeah.
Obviously, we'd all feel very differently, but the team would be the team.
I'd be drunk. I'd still be drunk from October.
They'd still have, question marks in left field and behind the plate and in their starting rotation. I don't think fundamentally anything would have changed other than they would have won, 8 more games and, 9 more games, been World Series champions, and we'd all be through the moon ecstatic. But the nature of the roster wasn't going to change. And I don't think a rebuild was coming either. Whether they won the World Series last year or not, I don't think the Padres were just heading toward a rebuild no matter what.
No, or a tear down or whatever you want to call it.
I just don't think, that was ever in the cards for the Padres for the next few years.
Yeah,
at some point, maybe you have to. But
until they trade Fernando and Merrill, I don't think you can call it a full-on tear down.
Yeah, I mean, look, the other thing too, and you see a lot of this sentiment, and it's probably the right sentiment. It's why it's so imperative that if you are going to, quote unquote, go for it, you have to have a good first half. You do. Because if you don't have a good first half, that's when the tough decisions need to be made of, okay, Orioles are in it, they could use a Dylan Cease. The Braves are in it, they could use a Dylan Cease. The Yankees are in it, they could use a Michael King back. Those are the ones that eat your soul. I think we're all fine with this team having a good first half and saying, all right, maybe now we add at the deadline and maybe we, part with somebody that maybe we didn't want to part with, but it nets us this, and we actually can go and get to the dance where literally anything can happen. The Arizona Diamondbacks can get to the World Series. The Texas Rangers can win a World Series. Why not the San Diego Padres? It's on them. Yeah, it's on them for the first 81 games.
I think you're hitting on something. Right now, it's very risky to both do a tear down or to add, because you don't have the information of where you are. If you tear it down right now and then you end up having playing pretty well, and Tatis and Merrill are still, and they're having great years, you go, why did we start getting rid of guys? If we just had one, or if we just had kept Dylan Cease, we'd be a true World Series contender.
True.
But if you add and like you're having a bad season, it's like we just spent money for nothing. We just wasted it.
It's tough. It's tough. It's the needle, man. That's
waiting to have more information to see how your season is going makes a lot of sense to the Padres right now, and they haven't. They haven't done anything either way.
Yeah, and again, with the non-clarity from ownership is really that's the thing that they're not really talking about. Everyone just kind of looks at where the Padres are and they see these expiring contracts and they say, well, you got to get rid of them. You have to get rid of them because you lost Jurickson Profar and Kyle Higashioka.
I mean,
I love those guys. I love them.
If the Padres had won the World Series, does that make Jurickson Profar now worth $42 million over 3 years?
Right.
I don't know that it does.
Exactly. But, Ben, he was the worst qualified hitter in baseball before we got him on a $1 million 1-year deal. And he proved it, and he got his bag, and he left. That's also not uncommon in baseball. And it is uncommon.
Great story.
It's a great story. But again, I love Higgy. One of my favorite Padres of all time. Is he a massive, massive needle mover? Can he not be replaced by what we got? Maybe not quite up there, but it's not something so jarring to me that I go, we have to tear it down.
If we're only comparing those two, like the Higgy, not re-signing Higgy hurts me more than not re-signing Profar. Because I think both areas were clearly an area of need.
Right.
But $6.5 million, like that's not breaking the bank.
No, it's not.
And that's when you go. That's when you go. Wow, are
broke?
times that hard?
Right.
Yeah, but what we're talking about is letting go a guy who you just said, had a terrible season 2 years ago, damaged, infielder that you didn't really need, and a career backup catcher who had one good 3-month stretch.
Yeah,
I mean that's who they've let go.
Yep.
It's not as fundamentally
jarring
as it should.
It's my fault.
A couple other MLB moves yesterday that we can get to here. Final hour of the program. Reindl Report coming up. And we've got more Padres spring training tickets to give away this hour as well. So stay tuned for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Peoria Sports Complex. Any game of your choice. -1. But that's okay. Most games are available for you at the Padres Cactus League schedule. We'll get to all of that coming up. First, though, at 9 o'clock. That means it is time for us to announce today's biggest fan, at least our biggest fan in the mornings. If you hear your name called, you'll have 10 minutes to call us back at 833-288-0973 and qualify for our grand prize, the 20 tickets and night in the Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season. Today's biggest fan on Ben & Woods is Sean Davis from Fallbrook. Sean Davis, you are on the clock. You've got 10 minutes to call us back at 833-288-0973. If you want to,
there he is.
If you want to hear your name called, make sure you register at 97.3thefan, sd.com/biggestfan.
All right.
Ty France is back in the big league, signed with the Minnesota Twins yesterday. Former Padre, San Diego State infielder, gets a small deal with the Minnesota Twins. And no surprise here, but Clayton Kershaw will be returning to the L.A. Dodgers for his 18th season.
Wow.
They opened camp already. They had their first workout yesterday with lots of media there. I mean, all kinds of cameras on Shohei Ohtani and Roki Sasaki as pitchers and catchers reported there to Glendale, Arizona. And I will say, because I want to follow up, and I told you how mad I was going to be when Clayton Kershaw signed for less money than his option. Now, it hasn't been officially reported. They said his deal is between $5 and $10 million. However, I read somewhere that his $10 million deal that he could have opted into for this year, he actually got $5 million for opting out last year, which I didn't realize, which makes more sense. So now if he gets anything more than $5 million, he actually comes out ahead financially. So he's not really giving the Dodgers a deal to return.
Oh,
now,
you were so mad.
I was ready to be so mad, but I don't think I can really get worked up about that. And Dodgers fans hate me enough already.
That's true.
It's funny. I get called a Dodger lover by some Padres fans, and I get hate by Dodgers fans on the other side. Really, I'm in a no-win situation here.
Welcome to the revolution.
The real Dodger lover out there, obviously the LA media.
Go Dave Roberts.
Dylan Hernandez of the LA Times wrote a column saying the Dodgers absolutely can become the first 120-win team in history. And he talked to Miguel Rojas, who kind of agreed, said, yeah, we can. That's definitely something that we think we can do. 116 is the record. What's that, 4 more to get to 120? We think that we've got maybe the best roster ever put together. 120 is not out of the question. So think about that. Over a 162-game season, you can only lose 42 of those games.
That's insane.
So you got to win 3 out of every 4 games all season long.
That is insane.
Which is a winning clip that we've never seen in the sport of baseball. It's possible, like in football, over a short season, teams win 3 out of 4 all the time. What's that? 13-4 is essentially, that's the same winning percentage. In football, you see at least 1 or 2 teams get there every year. But in baseball, no one can ever sustain it over 162. All it takes is 1 month where you go 15-15, and you've pretty much eliminated the possibility for a season like 120 wins.
If anything, I mean, have none of us learned anything? And by us, I mean fans, media, whatever. I'm not saying that they're set up for failure, but when I'm saying when their players and their manager and everybody else is coming out saying, yeah, 120 wins, I mean, it's such a, like, we know baseball well enough, and we've seen it right here in our own backyard. You cannot predict this game. You just can't. Now, I have some easy predictions, like they'll be in the playoffs. They'll win the West. But Ben, like, to shoot for meaningless records of 100,
No, they're not all doing that. I heard other guys talking. Like Max Muncy said yesterday, I have no interest in winning 120, 110. All I want to do is get in the playoffs.
That's it.
He says that's the only thing that matters. And then play well, be in the position to play well once we get there. If that means winning 90 games, I'm fine with that. Just want to get to the postseason. So that's That's a completely different attitude. And I don't know which one's right. I mean, I think if the Dodgers won only 90 games, that would be a massive disappointment.
I think it would be embarrassing to win 90 games with an 8-man rotation. That's of all-stars and Cy Youngs and potential Cy Youngs.
I mean,
sure.
if they do you want to hear Max Muncy at the end of the year going, mission accomplished? We won 90 games. We snuck into the playoffs. That's all we were trying to do this year.
Whatever you got to tell yourself.
I don't know. I can't see that as being reasonable either. But chasing 120 for no reason at all, just to say we think we can do it, is also probably a fool's errand.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to chase things like that. But yeah, I mean they're going to have a good team. They're going to have a deep team. But again, Evan Phillips isn't going to be ready. He is hurt. He's not going to be there for the beginning of the year. You're already starting to see, guys from last year like, I'm a little stiff. We're not sure when Shohei's going to be back. I mean, look, you still got to play the 162. The thing about the Dodgers, and I said it last year, the thing that scared me the most about them, Ben, is it was the first time they didn't have that division locked up on August 1st, right? And they actually had to fight a little bit. They actually had to claw a little bit at the end of the year. That is a team traditionally the last few years that August comes around, they're like, I'm going to get my work in, probably going to win this ball game anyway, and we'll ratchet it up in the playoffs. And they didn't. They didn't the last few seasons before last year, right? This is probably going to be one of those years. So they're going to have to figure out, coming off a World Series win, how they're going to stay motivated through August and September to then rev it up in October again. That's what gives every team a good shot.
It's funny because through 3 games of the playoffs, you also thought it was the same old story for the Dodgers.
Correct.
Win the division, you're going to get eliminated early. I mean, they got absolutely bodied in Game 2 at Dodger Stadium.
Yep.
Remember that? The Tatis 2-home-run game. People were streaming for the exits early. I was there. In Game 1, Padres had the early lead. They let that one get away. And then, they came out and hit early in Game 3 and closed that one out as well. And it looked like the same old story for the Dodgers. It really did. But they were able to get their acts together. And once they did, they turned pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah.
Game, 3.5 on from the NLDS, then they were good to go. So I don't know. Is there something to read into that, or is there not? That's always the question with the playoffs. Is there a lesson to be learned, or is it always just a new random short season every single year that you can't really predict?
Yeah, like PJ1313 says, like 2023 at FanFest saying you're going to win the World Series. 100%. I think he's a Dodger fan, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong. There's that at the time when I went, oh, God, you didn't make the playoffs. So weird stuff happens in baseball. Can't wait to see how it all plays out. It's going to be fascinating. I'm just glad. I'm glad that it's back.
But don't you want your team to say, yeah, our plan is to win the World Series this year at the start of the year?
Sure.
And the alternative is, yeah, we're probably not going to win the World Series, but we'd love to finish above 500 and maybe sneak into the playoffs. Well, every team wants to win the World Series.
No, the GM of the White Sox just said yesterday, I think we'll win more games than last year. Now, a lot of White Sox fans said, you know what? Props to him for not guaranteeing it. But he said,
how many games did they win last year?
Like 54 or something. I don't know. And he said, I think we're going to win more than we did last year.
Didn't they have the worst?
They had the worst record ever.
Season in Major League history, right?
Yeah.
I've got to look this up. They won 41 games. They went 41.
What did I say? They won 54. Oh my God.
41 and 121, and he thinks he's taking the over on 41 wins. That's the opposite of the Dodgers. That's losing 120.
Yeah.
That's as ridiculous as winning 120.
They
did it, though.
41, I'll take the over.
I'll take the over
I'm taking the over. You have to hit the over, right? Like, you have to. When are we going to do our picks and stuff? I like that when we do all the divisions.
A little closer to the season.
Okay.
We
gotta wait.
there's still guys, free agents out there. There's trades that are going to be made. You can't go too fast. You got to wait until last week or so of spring training before you really jump into the picks.
Yeah.
I've got one pick for you. NL West champion, Los Angeles Dodgers.
Save that clip.
That's my prediction.
Yep. They're going to use that on their next hype video for the. If they do, we're going to find a way to sue.
Do you think there will be anyone like a legitimate ESPN, Fox Sports, Athletic when they do, and they'll be
There's going to be no edgelords.
Let's say there's between, 100 to 200 true baseball experts who all pick their division winners. Will there be even one of them out of 150 that doesn't pick the Dodgers?
No.
I love the Diamondbacks moves. They will get literally every single person
in America.
Now, I don't think they'll have everybody pick them to win the World Series. There'll be at least a few people who go, hey, playoffs are random enough. I'll pick a different team to win the World Series.
Sure.
But they will literally have every single baseball person predict that they will win the division.
Call it right now. Dodgers or the field.
For the World Series?
Yeah, I take the field.
The Vegas odds would tell you they have like a 23% chance to win the World Series. You're taking a 77% bet there on not Dodgers to win the World Series.
Exactly.
That's a huge favorite, actually.
A huge favorite.
How about, and then you flip it. If you had to pick one team to win the World Series, like you have to put $100 down on a team. Who are you picking?
Dodgers.
Yeah.
100%.
But even the biggest favorites in maybe the history or at least recent history of baseball are still massive,
number one.
Pretty massive underdogs to win the World Series.
Correct.
Because that's how baseball is structured.
Oh, and trust me, they'll run with that narrative too. Oh boy, nobody had us.
It's true.
Nobody thought we'd be.
It is true.
You see the odds? 23%, bro. That's all you guys thought about us. They'll take it. Run with it. It's gonna make me sick.
Now remember, that's still more than any other team.
100%.
But you can always portray in baseball. You can always portray yourself as a massive underdog.
Correct.
Because it is true. Every team is a massive underdog at the start of the season.
It's how hard it is to win that tournament at the end of the year. That's just how hard. it is.
The Chiefs are massive underdogs to win the Super Bowl every year. They are.
Yeah.
Even though they're the favorites, they're also massive underdogs to actually win it. There are 31 other teams in a league of parity. It's kind of crazy to think that you can actually expect any team to win a championship in any sport.
Yep. Yeah, that's why it's always foolish to call it 7 months early.
Yeah. Which is why I try to stick to just the daily predictions with Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy where you're setting lineups on an instant basis between 2 and 6 players, and all you have to do is put them together in lineups by picking more or less on stat projections, and you can win up to 1,000 times your cash with Prize Picks. Play the way you want. You can do a flex pick where, let's say, you have a 4-player lineup, but only 3 have to win for you to actually win real money. Or you can go with a power play, go for a big one, go a 6-player lineup, you win them all, you can win huge money with Prize Picks that way. It's running your own game all season long, and right now, with basketball season in full swing, they've got some amazing options this week. Got the All-Star game this weekend. Check out Steph Curry, check out LeBron James. All the stars will have points options, rebound, assist options for the All-Star game, and the three-point shooting contest and slam dunk contests on Saturday as well. You can set lineups for those as well. It's easy to play. It's quick to sign up. Just download the app at prizepicks.com, and when you do, use the code KWFN. You're going to get $50 instantly to play with when you play your first $5 lineup. So $5 of your own money, $50 of their money. That's a great deal to get you started just by using the code KWFN at sign up, and it's quick and easy to deposit and withdraw your money when you win, because of course you want your money back when you win. You can use MasterCard, Venmo, Apple Pay. It's all available to you. So it's Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. This segment of Ben Woods is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. They're recruiting professionals utilizing award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
We are officially back in baseball season, and because our chat is just exploding with doom, with positivity, with we'll wait and see, all the things that you love to see when a baseball season gets underway. There's not been one pitch thrown yet. And it's either over or let everybody keep doubting us. I'm excited. It's always fun to go out to spring training and get to sit down with the guys. And I think it's, I'll tell a lot of them, there's a lot of uncertainty about what you guys have this year. How do you guys feel? And you know what they're going to say. It'll be mostly canned answers, but every now and then you'll get a gem. And you do wonder, if they hear those things from Harold Reynolds and go, what are you talking about, dude? Because for as much as we don't know, and, you can go back to Manny's comments at FanFest when Manny spoke really candidly and said, yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. We won 93 games last year. I'm disappointed we haven't made any huge additions, and most importantly, I'm disappointed that we let, a guy like Pro go. That's what you want from the leader of your team, right? To speak his mind, certainly. But I bet once he gets out there, things change, and you start to get into the groove, and you start to think, you look around and go, no, we're going to be all right. We're going to be fine. But I wonder if they hear those comments about tearing it down and we don't believe. And, I was not a believer in last year's team until I was.
I've tried to think of the best way to kind of phrase this, because every baseball season has many different paths it can take.
Yes.
And at the start, you don't really know. It could be like 2023, where you have immense talent, but you can't win a close game. You can't go on a winning streak. Something happens. It can be like last year, where, Jackson Merrill hits a bunch of home runs in the 8th inning and ties games, and you win, and you build all this momentum. And at the start of every year, there are both good paths and bad paths for every team. There's injury-riddled seasons. There's seasons where you stay remarkably healthy. There's seasons where you have young guys break out unexpectedly. There's seasons where your superstars just have, off years and don't produce.
Sure.
So there's lots of different paths for every team every season. And when we decide whether we're going to be optimistic or dooming at the start of the year, let's just say there's 100 paths a season can take. There's probably an infinite number of paths, but let's say there's 100. 60 of them are potentially really good paths. 40 of them are kind of bad paths. What do you decide? Do you think, basically you're in the offseason, you're just trying to create more good paths than bad paths.
Right.
Just because you have more good paths, though, 40% things happen all the time.
It
and
happened
you
to
can have
us.
a bad season. And just because you have more bad paths doesn't mean, let's say you have 70 bad paths, but there's still 30 good paths out there where a team that didn't spend a lot, didn't do much in the offseason, ends up having a really good year, because there are good paths and bad paths for every team over the course of the season.
One thing I think we're going to be asking of Mike Schilt, and I talked about it earlier in the program, Benny, one thing we're going to be asking of Mike Schilt, and there's enough of a track record with Mike Schilt to know what his teams do and what they are. I do realize every team is different. I do realize personnel changes. I do realize injuries pop up. That being said, Mike Schilt's teams traditionally start a little slower and they finish a little better, which is kind of what you want. This year is a little different. You start super slow and you start really poorly, you could be, 2/5 of your rotation could be traded by August 1st. So I think, that's something to look out for this year. I wonder if that's in the back of his mind. And, no manager goes out there saying, I can't wait to start the season slow. This is going to be great, and then we'll peak at the right time. It's not a risk you can take, nor is it anything a manager can actually control.
I mean, you hear that
hey,
from
take
a lot.
A little off here.
You hear that from a lot of coaches. Brian Dutcher always says, hey,
Yes.
Aztec teams, our signatures, we play better as the season goes on. Well, you're not doing that this year.
Yeah.
You're actually playing way worse as the season goes on.
Well, listen, the signature changes, right? Brian Dutcher's signatures change. We get down early, we fight our asses back, and we win these close ball games.
They're now grit squad team.
They're a grit squad team. But yeah, again, if any manager could sit in an office before the season and draw up how he wants his season to go, it would be a gradual climb to the end. Nobody would say, I want to look at the Phillies. We crowned the Phillies last July. Crowned them. They're, oh, God, who's beating this team? Everybody. Everybody's beating the Phillies, right? We crowned these guys too early.
Yet 2 years ago, I just mentioned the Rangers. They were one of the best teams for the first 4 months of the season. Went on a giant nosedive before the playoffs. Almost missed the postseason.
And then won the World Series.
And then won the World Series.
So I think every single manager, again, given the opportunity of how he would want to draw it up for his team, would say, we will gradually climb, and at the end we'll be holding the trophy. That's it. That's how you do it. You can't play 162 games at a frenetic pace. You just can't. It's not going to happen. It's not the NFL. You can't leave it all out there on the field for 162. You will have nothing left in the tank.
But like in 2023, you can't also go, hey, let's just keep
It'll click.
Just wait. Just be patient. Let's not panic.
Just haven't played our best baseball yet.
Here it comes any second now.
By the way, I never disagreed with Bob Melvin when he said it.
I know.
I sat there, and I don't think I'm some dumb rube. Right? I don't think I'm some dumb rube for believing Bob Melvin that team would eventually find it. I don't think. Now, if it's Derek Shelton and the Pirates are 40 games out of first place and he's telling me, we haven't played our best baseball game, I don't believe you. I'm sorry. But when I'm looking at what that team had then and when I'm looking at what this team has now, we don't know what the story's going to be.
The Pirates, they have some paths to success. Now, the White Sox, they may only have one or two paths to success. The Dodgers may only have one or two paths to failure. So you do know with certain confidence. But most teams, like the Padres, like the Diamondbacks and the Giants, they have around 50 paths to success and 50 paths to failure at the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's right down the middle when you start in spring training.
This is a very fair fan perspective here from Mountain. In the chat said, I think we captured a lot of magic last season. It's hard to believe we might have that again, especially being an SD fan, but hey, that's baseball. That's really it, man. We captured a lot of magic in 2022 as well. We captured absolutely zero magic in 2023. Not one bit of magic happened in 2023. It was horrific.
But you could say in basketball, the Aztecs are capturing a ton of magic right now.
At the end of the game.
With all these comebacks.
There's comebacks.
Doesn't necessarily inspire a lot of confidence, though. Maybe you want to be the team that doesn't need to capture magic.
They're just a solid
to win games. You're just solid,
team.
And you're not winning a bunch of walk-offs. You're winning 5-3, and it's fine. And it's just you just win the game. There's different paths.
And you're not going to be able to convince me otherwise. No matter who you can call me, every name in the book. You can call me a bought off, paid off, corporate shill, whatever you want to call me. You're not going to get me to not believe in Jackson Merrill's ability, Fernando Tatis's ability, Manny Machado's ability, Michael King's ability, Dylan Cease's ability, Jason Adams' ability. You're not going to get me. I'm not changing my opinion on that. I'm not going to. I refuse. I know what a good baseball player looks like.
I'm not going to. So quit asking.
I know what a good baseball player looks like. We've got a bunch of them. So I'm going to let the chips fall where they may, and I'm going to be. My hair's going to be on fire. It already is.
Even the ones with flaws, like Jake Cronenworth, are fundamentally they got good baseball players.
Yep.
Who know how to win, savvy. I mean, they've got a team of savvy players.
I'm interested to see if Schilt, if he focuses on different things, and I want to ask him about that. The base running at the beginning of the year last year was horrendous, and I know that's anti everything he believes in. Is that going to be a point of emphasis? Winning inches in baseball is literally everything. It's everything. And if you can win more inches than the next guy, whether it's a ball outside, whether it's an extra bag, whatever it is, that's the way that team needs to play. I'm excited to see what he's got cooking.
2 weeks from today, we will be broadcasting live from the patio at the Peoria Sports Complex, and you can join us out at spring training by winning a 4-pack of tickets to a Padres spring training game at the Peoria Sports Complex. You can also qualify for our grand prize, which is 4 more tickets to a Padres Guardians game at Petco Park on April the 2nd in the opening homestand. Get your spring tickets now at PeoriaBaseball.com, but if you want to win the 4-pack of tickets to your game of choice in Arizona this spring, call now, 833-288-0973. Let's do the 5th caller, 833-288-0973. Paulie will take those calls during our break, and then he'll be back with his Reindl Report headlines, including, Padres aren't the only Dodger haters out there. There's another franchise that is right alongside the San Diego Padres in their disdain right now.
Mama.
For
East
the LA
Coast,
Dodgers.
East Coast, West Coast.
Yep.
Let's go. Can't wait.
That is coming up next on 97.3 The Fan. Remember when you accused Odyssey of fixing the Super Bowl Squares contest?
Yes. Did they? Did
No,
you get to the
they
bottom
didn't.
of it? Oh.
They didn't. Just like we didn't fix the Padres ticket giveaway. It actually was our good friend, the Guzinator.
Yes.
Who won. He was the fifth caller. I looked at it. He was the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth caller. Paulie did it by the book.
I mean, look, have I ever seen somebody that we know and maybe they're caller number 2, but we said caller number 5?
No, you have not done that.
Never. Not once. I would never do that.
But this was absolutely a totally legitimate win for the Goose. So congratulations. We will have more tickets to give away tomorrow, not only to Padres spring training, but we will also have Aztecs basketball tickets for Saturday's game against Boise State at Viejas Arena.
Yeah, if you like heart attacks, that's the place to be on Saturday. If you want your blood pressure to spike and to pucker the entire game, then enjoy yourself.
First, go to trustandwill.com.
Correct.
Then go to
the Aztecs game, because you may not make it home.
It is a stressful viewing experience, to be sure.
Yeah.
But they do end up, winning in the end.
Yeah. Which is very exciting.
And it's hard to argue with Dutch when he goes, that was a great win. I mean, that was a great win.
No question.
And if you keep doing that, I know fans will go, you keep doing that, you're gonna
burn out.
It's gonna fall apart. But Dutch would counter, but if we do it every game, we're gonna win the national championship. As long as we come out with more points than the other team in the end, it doesn't matter how we get there. We will win the national championship if we win every game. It doesn't matter how ugly or pretty it is. All they have to do is win every game.
Win every game just like that.
And they will win the national championship.
Yeah, no style points
I don't see it happening, but it's hard to complain too much when they come out with the win in the end. All right. Paulie's got some headlines. It is time for the Reindl Report after our last check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Several problems wrapping up our morning drive. Got a collision on northbound 805 at 43rd. It's over the right shoulder. Also, northbound 15 past Carroll Canyon. Collision involving a couple vehicles there over the right shoulder. And on the Winter Gardens Boulevard on-ramp southbound 67, accident involving several vehicles. Yeah, still pretty slick out there, you guys. And keep in mind, more rain is expected off and on throughout the day. This afternoon's commute could be pretty brutal, so brace yourself for that. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul. All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right. All right.
All right.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, gentlemen.
Yeah, if I'm lucky.
It means it's like the middle of the week, and you're getting over the hump in the middle of the week. It's not what you think.
Multiple meetings.
Yeah. No, it's really just one meeting.
It's really just the one meeting.
No.
No, it's not. It's not like...
The odds are against me on a Wednesday, on a rainy Wednesday.
That happening or the field?
The field.
Field now.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on. We have talked a lot about beefs recently.
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
Yeah.
Big beef that was
Huge
highlighted on the
beef.
Super Bowl. That got people talking about other, hip-hop beefs. And
Why do they call it beef, by the way?
I don't know.
Beef. Why do we have beef
with someone else?
Why do you have so much beef with me?
You couldn't have chicken with someone else? Or
pork.
Fish. Pork is good. Oh, these guys got pork.
They got some nasty pork going on
Nasty
between
ass
them.
veal. These guys got veal.
Good old-fashioned East Coast versus West Coast
veal.
pork.
These guys have impossible meat.
Yeah. I don't get
it. The vegans out there,
The East Coast, West Coast rivalry has expanded beyond just music and cultures, and it has landed in baseball. So I think we've talked about it in little snippets here and there over the offseason. Dodgers and Yankees are turning out, they don't really like each other that much.
Sure.
And you could maybe expect that. You lose the World Series, maybe some sour grapes. I don't know. But let's go through the timeline because I want to get the story here is the latest that Aaron Boone said at Yankee spring training yesterday.
Yep.
His comments about kind of all this offseason chatter. But when did it really start?
Started immediately after the World Series. A drunken Chris Taylor was on, I believe it was Mookie Betts' podcast, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, Dodger fans will probably mail me a letter letting me know to my home. But he was like, they were drinking, and he just started like just flapping gums about how bad the Yankees were. Instead of
easiest path to a World Series.
Yeah,
or something like that?
Instead of just being like, "Hey, man, I'm just fired up. We won it."
He said something about like they just didn't do the fundamentals well.
Well, so then
they were going to make mistakes. We knew they would make mistakes.
Joe Kelly said the same thing. Joe Kelly was on Baseball Isn't Boring. He said we had seen it every game. Just let them throw the ball to the infield. They can't make a play. It was a mismatch from the get-go. If we had a playoff re-ranking, they might be ranked the 8th or 9th best playoff team. You're putting the Padres ahead of them.
That's the thing.
You're putting the Phillies ahead of them.
The Dodgers have been massively disrespectful to the Yankees.
But so respectful.
And massively respectful to the Padres this entire offseason.
So stupid.
It's so weird.
He said, I mean, the Guardians played like crap, but the Guardians played better defense and played better baseball all around. Called their matchup with the Yankees a complete mismatch. Shohei got an extra base going to third on a sloppy Glaber play. It's well known. We all knew. We're the Dodgers. We know every little detail. So they've been, and then Miggy Rojas had something recently. So they've been, they've instead of celebrating, they've been taking their shots at the Yankees, and I don't have a problem with it. I really don't at all. And I actually think Aaron Boone probably shouldn't have said anything yesterday because it really doesn't make them look all that great.
All right, well, here's the latest in this saga. Aaron Boone at the podium yesterday at Yankees spring training, and here's the question he was asked.
The Dodgers spent a good portion of their offseason talking trash about just how clean this team is. Did you take any of that personally? Do you think any of the guys took that personally?
Probably a little bit. I mean, don't like hearing that. You hope, but the reality is, we didn't play our best in the series, and they won. So, they have that right to say whatever. Hopefully we're in that position next year and handle things with a little more class. But
the old class.
That the reality is, it's a great team. It's a great organization with a lot of great people that, I happen to know and respect too. So. A few people, sounding off, isn't necessarily how I would want to draw it up, but they're the champs. They have that right.
Well, the funny thing, too, was, and then John Birdie from the Yankees, and I don't even know if he's with the Yankees still. I think he remains unsigned, if I'm not mistaken. He was with them, wasn't on the World Series roster. He was on, like, a podcast talking about how unclassy they are. And Joe Kelly wasn't on the World Series roster, and Chris Taylor didn't do anything in the World Series.
You think that's going to stop Joe Kelly from ever talking?
Well, yeah, but it was not. It was not like it was, the starters that actually went out and won those games that were it was the guys on the bench.
What's odd, though, is that it doesn't help the Dodgers at all. No one wants to win a championship and goes, and you know what? We had the easiest path to the championship ever because the teams that actually were in front of us, man, they were all terrible. I mean, it was so easy to win that championship. No, you want to do what they've been doing at the Padres. Like, man, we had to beat such good teams to win our championship. But they're not doing that with the Yankees.
It's weird, yeah.
We got to the World Series. It was a cakewalk, honestly. It was a complete, an utter cakewalk against a fundamentally
terrible team.
Terrible team in the New York Yankees. It doesn't serve the Dodgers well to even do that. Yet they keep doing it.
It is funny, man. It's the guys. It's kind of the guys in this case, at least, the guys on the end of the bench that really didn't really do much to contribute. They did in the regular season. Of course, you're a part of that team. It doesn't take away, but you didn't get out there and get that. If Blake Trinan said it, or like Evan Phillips, who shredded his arm for that team, or Mookie Betts, if they said it, maybe it's a bigger story, but somebody made the point in the chat, and I agree. Baseball is infinitely better when teams hate each other. It's so much better.
When they have beef.
Gotta have
beef.
Which
Neil in the chat says the origin of having beef, likely from the 19th century in England, when to stop a thief, people would yell, "Hot beef!" Which I don't know why don't they just yell "Stop thief"? Why would you yell "hot beef" instead of "Stop thief"? Is that too many letters? And let's just make it hot beef.
What did they
instead.
say again?
Hot beef.
Thank you.
I
don't know where to go.
I'm elated. I'm elated that you get a gem like that.
I appreciate Neil looking it up in our chat.
Okay, so somebody would steal your stuff and you would yell out hot
beef.
Why?
Yeah. I don't know.
Stop
Because
yelling
it
it.
rhymes with stop thief, I think.
Why wouldn't you say stop thief?
I don't know.
Like, did they steal? Did they break in to steal their beef?
No, I think like you're walking
like stolen.
You grab an apple on a cart as you're walking by. You don't pay for it, and then the guy who runs the
Hot
cart will
beef?
yell "hot beef," and then you're supposed to tackle the guy, I guess, with the apple.
All right, Eric Rupner, if you're listening, if there's not a hot beef sandwich shop at Petco Pork this year, then I don't know what to tell you. It's a missed opportunity.
Wow.
With Ben just sitting there yelling,
"Hot beef!
Hot beef!" the whole time.
No one would know what would happen. Like you're at the Apple store, they have security there.
If you yell out
someone's
hot
yelling
beef,
out "hot beef," someone's got an iPhone. They're running out the door with it. Hot beef.
This is my favorite. I am so happy. That's a 3 seed. We're getting close.
We are.
That is a 3.
Maybe I know we're getting close and we need to fill out the field.
They do have Gaglione Brothers in there. If Gaglione Brothers is listening and you want
hot beef,
a new
hot beef,
a new catchphrase, a new endorser,
hot beef,
hot beef. That's fantastic. Thank you, Ben.
You're
the best.
Hot beef.
Save it and just.
Oh yeah.
I just want to play
Save
it.
that forever.
I want to play it as much as you can possibly play it tomorrow.
All right. We'll just we'll skip to my last story here for time's sake because I know Woodsy's been itching to talk a little music, a little rock and roll Hall of Fame. We got the nominations for the 2025 class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I think you kind of have to give the disclaimer every time you read these names. It's a weird name for the class, like for the Hall of Fame. It's not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's kind of more the Music Hall of Fame.
Lately, yeah.
But like you always see, like you'll see hip hop stars,
Sure.
R&B singers, jazz, whatever. It's not just rock and roll, metal, etc.
You've got a unbelievable class this year. An unbelievable.
I feel like
class.
every year when we do this segment, I always say yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Like there's never anybody that's nominated. I'm like, no, they're not. And I don't know what the criteria fully is for the Hall of Fame, but this year's nominees are the White Stripes, yes. Soundgarden, yes. Mariah Carey, yes.
All right, what do you mean? See?
Well, if it's a music,
I know.
she's not a rock and roll artist, but she's been doing this for 30 years.
Yes, I know. Do you?
All right, Oasis. I'd be like, what? They have 1 album, 2 albums?
What? Massive band. Massive.
Outkast and Fish. Fish probably, I don't know anything about Fish,
They're
really.
a jam band. Very, very,
AJ
very.
Cashville's definitely putting Fish.
Oh, yeah.
They're very
into the Hall of Fame.
All right, here's the
Other finalists.
Okay, go ahead.
Joy Division,
Yes.
New Order.
Look at this.
Cyndi Lauper.
Wow, you came prepared with
You're
your
ready
Joy
to go.
Division shirt on.
Ready to go.
Cyndi Lauper, Billy Idol.
Yeah.
Yes.
Joe Cocker, Chubby Checker, Bad Company, Black Crows, and Manor.
Yes. I don't know, Mama.
Chubby Checkers just getting around. They're just getting
Come
around
on,
Chubby
baby.
Checker.
Well, we know you only have one song.
I'm not saying no to
You
Chubby
know this
Checker.
is his first year on the ballot.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Do you
He's
want to know
one
something
song.
that's really going to blow your mind? He's still alive. Chubby Checker's 83 and
Really?
Until
still alive.
All right, does he make it to the opening day? Since we've just mentioned him and I've made fun
Can
of
we
him.
get him to the next Christmas and holiday extravaganza?
Hey, what song are you going to sing? Let me guess! Let me guess what you're going to sing.
Come on, Rudolph.
There's also Let's Twist Again.
I know. He's got multiple
Let's
variations.
Twist Again.
All right, here we
like
go.
we did last summer.
Here we go. 25 years must have passed since the release of their first commercial recording, the artist's impact on music culture and influence on other musicians, the scope and longevity of their career and body of work, the significance of their contributions to the development of rock and roll. I mean, there's,
I'm over here now defending Mariah Carey, which I hadn't planned on, but she checks all that off, right?
I think so.
She's got one of the most iconic voices
She has-
of the last
yeah,
40 years.
I mean, a massive career. I wish they would have made like a pop music Hall of Fame. Done. No brainer. First ballot. Mount Rushmore.
I wish they would just change the name of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to the Music Hall of Fame. And then you can keep everybody that's already in there. You don't have to have...
It's so general. The Music Hall of Fame.
That's why Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just sounds better.
Yeah.
I understand they don't have, like, the Sports Hall of Fame. They have the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I am a Hall of Famer of what? Sports.
Sports.
So, sports. Great bands, man. Soundgarden.
By the way,
Crows, great.
The Twist, Chubby Checker, it's a cover. It's not even his
Oh
song.
my God!
He just got famous for doing the Twist.
Yeah, they do have a Country Music Hall of Fame. They have a Motown Hall of Fame, or no, it's just a museum. But that's a great lineup, dude. I mean, that's a really great lineup. White Stripes, Soundgarden, Black Crowes, Bad Company kicks ass. Like, it's a good, solid, some solid entries. San Diego Hall of Fame, Hall of Champions is just a sports Hall of Fame. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I love it. Did you say Green Day was in there?
No,
they're already in, aren't they? Somebody said,
"Are they old enough?"
Can't believe Green Day is in, but not Blink.
Last year's class included Ozzy, Dave Matthews Band, Cher, Tribe Called Quest, Mary J. Blige, Peter Frampton, Foreigner, and Kool and the Gang. I don't know if Green Day's in there or not.
Adam Paul says, Fish is an arm of the Grateful Dead. Chubby Checker has more than one song. All right, name it. What's the other famous best Chubby Checker song?
Limbo Rock.
Never heard of it.
Adam Paul says.
Hot Beef.
I don't think that's a Chubby Checker song.
Yeah, the Twist. Let's twist again. The Twist. Then the Twist. Limbo Rock. Let's twist again. It makes several appearances.
Slow twisting.
The dude loves twisting. His other famous song, Hot Beef.
Hot Beef.
I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to be able to get enough of it, dude. I'm just not. Like, I'm not going to be able to get enough of that drop for the rest of my life.
I'm looking at Chubby Checker's Spotify playlist.
I just was.
Yeah.
They have the Twist listed like 3 times.
4 different versions of it are his top 5.
It's so good.
Like Randy Jones, but with music.
Exactly.
Hey, I had my success. I am going to milk that thing for all it's worth.
Man, that poor guy. I hope Chubby Checker. Honestly, I hope he makes the afternoon. Since we've made fun of him incessantly, I hope he makes it till 6 p.m. tonight.
It's going to be sad tomorrow.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Shout out to his family.
Shout out to his family. I'm so sorry.
Did we do it again?
So sorry.
All right, Annie and Elston are coming up next. We will be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for 4 more hours of fun and mediocre Yelp reviews. For Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Wednesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody. Hot beef!